Is your wife a doctor?
So the rumor is that she is.
My wife's a doctor.
My wife is a doctor.
My wife's a doctor.
My wife's a doctor.
My wife's a doctor.
My wife is a doctor.
My wife's a doctor.
My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor.
My wife who is a doctor.
My wife is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor.
Is your wife a doctor?
So the rumor is that she is. And the last 10 years of my life that I've spent watching her go through medical school suggests that she is. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife is a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor. Believe me, ladies, I am not interested in your body. My wife's super hot. My wife is a doctor.
My wife is a doctor.
My wife who is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. Because she's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor. Yeah, my wife's been in hospitals. I keep referring to her because I love her and she's amazing.
If you like this video, subscribe and give it a
Is your wife a doctor?
So the rumor is that she is. And the last 10 years of my life that I've spent watching her go through medical school suggests that she is. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife is a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor. Believe me, ladies, I am not interested in your body. My wife's super hot. My wife is a doctor.
My wife is a doctor.
My wife who is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. Because she's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor. Yeah, my wife's been in hospitals. I keep referring to her because I love her and she's amazing.
Is your wife a doctor?
So the rumor is that she is. And the last 10 years of my life that I've spent watching her go through medical school suggests that she is. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife is a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor. Believe me, ladies, I am not interested in your body. My wife's super hot. My wife is a doctor.
My wife is a doctor.
My wife who is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. Because she's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor. Yeah, my wife's been in hospitals. I keep referring to her because I love her and she's amazing.
Is your wife a doctor?
So the rumor is that she is. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor.
My wife's a doctor.
My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife who is a doctor.
My wife is a doctor.
My wife's a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor.
Is your wife a doctor?
So the rumor is that she is. And the last 10 years of my life that I've spent watching her go through medical school suggests that she is. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife is a doctor. My wife is a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor. Believe me, ladies, I am not interested in your body. My wife's super hot. My wife is a doctor.
My wife is a doctor.
My wife, who is a doctor. My wife's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. Because she's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. For the 1000th time, my wife is a doctor. Yeah, my wife works in hospitals. I keep referring to her because I love her and she's amazing.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to another stream. Welcome to Tinfoil Tuesday. I'm Hannah, and hi. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Dr. Blast. Dr. Baja Blast.
Wow, that's very cool. Chat, my wife is a doctor.
I'm a doctor. Look at my microscope.
She's a doctor now.
I'm a doctor.
That happened yesterday, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a doctor.
That's where we were. She was becoming a doctor, and I was like, there she is. Seriously though, congratulations to my wonderful wife who has spent so much time working so hard for so many years towards this. And as of yesterday, yes, she passed her defense. So
I defended that thing.
Dr. Blast.
Dr. Blast.
Dr. Blast. So that's cool. Thank you to everyone who's like had kind things to say when Dr. Blast, my wife, has been talking about her work and stuff. So that's wonderful. Better than Ben's doctor wife. Ben's doctor wife can get fucked for all I care.
Chat, I have to say, this lovely woman is like 95% of the reason that I made it through writing my dissertation and actually making it through my defense. She was there during my presentation yesterday, and she came to my party, and I'm just so endlessly appreciative of her. And she got me so many like congratulations gifts. She took me out to brunch today.
It's really good.
We have a furry orange boy that has decided to join us. She got me a DNA necklace, and there is a tradition in Finland where PhDs get doctor swords, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a sword that has like Dr. So-and-so etched into it, and we discussed that tradition on one of our first dates. And Hannah got me a doctor sword.
It's a cool sword.
It is a very cool sword.
So that's good. If we're ever on an airplane and someone has a heart attack, you could play the funniest prank ever. So.
Nah, no. If they're like, hurry, we need a geneticist right now, I'll be like, that's me.
I don't think anyone needs an emergency sequencing.
You never know, though.
Okay.
But, wait, what?
Did any of what Baja said register, or did it just ping off the lower self-esteem and imposter syndrome? I've said this to other people. I understand the broad generalization of what she did. The specifics not even close, but I get it.
Yeah, but okay, so I had a completely different end to my presentation before this, and then I had a conversation.
I am going to get to all the like bits messages and everything, by the way. Sorry.
And then I had a discussion with my advisor a couple of days before my defense and was telling her about a conversation that I had with Hannah, because Hannah had listened to me talk about my presentation. And she was like, I mean, you already have a test case with Hannah, and she liked this and understood it, so why not end in that way? Basically talking about how my research is applicable more broadly. And so I changed the end of my presentation because Hannah really vibed with it. And it was great. It was wonderful, and I am very relieved. I am doctor now. I am Dr. Baja Blast, PhD. That is my official name.
That's good. If we ever meet Ben Shapiro, we have something in common. We can start a conversation.
Yeah. My wife's a doctor. You can just be like, hi, Ben, my wife's a doctor.
Mm-hmm. You probably wouldn't count it, though, because you're like a doctor in a way that isn't a medical doctor, and the right wing is mad at that now because of Jill Biden. Anyway, let's see what the bit messages and everything said. Midnight, thanks for 32 months, says, Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Cosmic Cats with 35 months says, Hey, Hannah in chat. Hope everyone is having a good week. Time for some more crazy and cabbage. I'm ready for the cabbage. Demos, thanks for gifting a sub. Overthought, thanks for gifting a sub. That XY Girl, thanks for 31 months, says, My wife is a super hot doctor. Mine too. Professor Daddy 1118 says, Hey, congrats, Dr. Blast.
Thank you.
H. Baird says, Wait, Baja defended yesterday? How is she still awake? There was sleep. There was sleep in between.
We had a lot of sleep.
Over that says, Congratulations, Dr. Blast.
Thank you.
DM Trey says, Holy shit, congratulations, Dr. Blast. We're so proud of you.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to say, I saw someone in the comments ask if I got corrections to my thesis, and no major corrections, so everything's, fine. But obviously, like, grammatical errors, and they wanted me to change a few things, but it's not anything big that's, pushes my graduation off or anything.
Does Elon qualify for Tinfoil Tuesday now? Elon qualifies for maybe getting a checkup, like with an MRI. Altered Undying says, Yay, Dr. Blast finally took me hours to put up a light bulb. Don't ask, it was a comedy of errors. Well, as long as you got it done, that's good. So we are playing bingo today. You can get bingo cards. I don't think I had any other housekeeping.
Does this entire thing count as Baja and Hannah flirt?
Sure. Also Baja Blasts.
Oh, yeah.
You get those spaces for free today.
Yeah. I blasted all day yesterday.
Get to form. Thanks for 39 months. Let's just talk about how awesome Baja is. Baja is wonderful and awesome.
I feel like someone should interview me and say, You've just finished your PhD. What are you gonna do now?
Crafts.
Crafts. I'm gonna do crafts. One of my friends asked me, Oh, so are you doing a postdoc? And I was like, No, I'd rather be dead. Grad school is exhausting. That was mostly a joke. I hope that no people interviewing me ever see this. You're so pretty.
Thank you. All right, you get to pick. Since you're a doctor, what do we start with? I'm gonna tell you what we have, and then you're gonna tell us what we're gonna start with today.
Okay.
We have Chris talking about how he thinks we don't know what the center of the earth is like. We have Bob Larson talking about ghosts. We have Hans Wormhat talking about whether or not people like me, people who disagree with him, basically are demons. We have Matthew Perry and the Batman connection. I don't know what that is. This is literally just a Freemason ritual, like a real one, and it's hilarious, and I think it's funny that, like, anyone takes this seriously because it's just, like, a bunch of dudes being really embarrassing. This is about med beds. This is about this image and looking at conspiracy stuff in it. We have Evil Gina. We have... I don't even remember what that is. We have the convicted pedophile guy.
Oh, great.
We have... What was this one? This is a general conspiracy thing that's new. I hadn't seen it. This person is a conspiracy theorist that thinks QAnon is a CIA psyop. So it's kind of a double conspiracy. This is literally just someone walking around to Adelaide and, like, looking at things and saying they're conspiratorial, or thinking they're conspiratorial.
Oh.
So that's kind of interesting to just see the world through the eyes of a conspiracy theorist. This person thinks the English language is an alien construct and evil. This is someone looking at reptilians, more reptilians. I don't know. Out of the ones I have so far, are any of them piquing your interest? AI. This person thinks the history of home heating is a fraud and a conspiracy.
That one sounds fun. Mr. Blast can help out in chat.
Fuzzy Simba, thanks for 8 months. Did I miss anything else? Nope, we're good. Hey, Casville, how's it going? Okay, so this is entitled The History of Home Heating Proves That Dark Forces Exist. It starts out with bad audio, but it cuts into someone with an actual microphone. So this is just like a little intro.
In Pennsylvania, it's an Acme Giant. So it is one of the biggest potbelly stoves I could find.
Holy shit, how many ad breaks is Twitch gonna have you take? It's like trying to do 3 or 4 already.
Oh, it doesn't do it. I think it doesn't do it in certain periods, so if it, like, tries... I actually don't know. Tea with Goblin says, I don't know if American IDs have honorifics on them, but I recommend changing your title on whatever utility accounts you have. Also, don't be afraid to be an absolute wanker and use it when booking flights and reservations.
100%.
I get upgraded to business class once because they thought I was a medical doctor. Too bad no one ever needed a post-structuralist critique of heteronormativity at 30,000 feet. I didn't stumble on that at all. Good for me.
Really similar to what we're doing here, and it sounds like, you know, at least a couple thousand years ago they were starting to work out this system. Now, one of the things it says, heated walls with a double flue system was found in a 4th century ancient palace, and they also have an L-shaped bench, and they have heated walls. I find that really interesting that they're progressing, and that it's really becoming, you know, at this point it's been hundreds of years, if not thousands, if we're going back to that 7,000.
Dream drama. I don't even know what does that even mean? Gumballs actor. Am I having a stroke? Am I old enough that sentences just don't make sense to me anymore? Thoughts on dream drama and Gumballs actor saying messed up stuff. I don't know who either of those people are.
1,000-year-old example in the cave.
Hey guys, it's Matt. This video will probably be titled something like The History of Home Heating in the United States Proves That the Dark Forces Exist.
Alright.
Now a note to subscribers. This is one of those videos I try to make every 6 months or so, where I hope there's a chance it could get out to regular people. So
the big home heating. They've been too big for too long and they're running out of ammo.
We won't be using certain terms that they would quickly label me as crazy or insane. Also, I have to keep my presentation somewhat normal, so the average person that has a chance of coming across this doesn't write me off as a crazy person.
You're already on this show. I feel like we've crossed that delta. I feel like we're not going to get to the point where I'm going to take it seriously, but maybe.
Which
Our
they
son
probably
just
already
tried to kill himself.
Oh, cool. In Minecraft, Twitch TOS. MH Darkbeast says, congrats, Baha. Was that an Urkel conspiracy? What the hell sort of conspiracy could be there about Urkel? Was he the kid that the cop shot dead in Die Hard? Oh my god. I'm going to say that Stefan Urkel was involved in the JFK assassination. I feel like there was probably there had to have been a time machine at some point in Family Matters, right? It basically just turned into a sci-fi comedy at the end. Mr. Whisker says, never trust Central Air, and Vinny Sathoff with 26 months.
You have from the title of this video. But anybody new that stumbled upon this looking for a cat video, stick with me. Yes, it's not mistitled. I'm going to prove the history of home heating in the United States proves there are dark forces at play here. And most people have their head up their ass and don't see them. Back to the normal presentation. A 3 or 4 minute history is in order, so you'll understand where I'm trying to take this. I've been in the house here over 20 years. There's 2 wood stoves. And stoves very quickly became kind of like my hobby. I try to burn the stoves as much as possible and I have an oil burner, but you know, not just to save money, it's just I like using the stoves. I have a bunch of fire bricks. I've assembled
Is he literally going to say that he thinks that like home heating could be more efficient if everyone just burned wood, therefore like heating using gas or other means is a scam?
sorts of different configurations, and
I feel like that's maybe where this is going.
Tested how things draft and built a rocket stove for just no reason. Spent a month and a half building a rocket stove just to see if it would work. And I've built double-walled stovepipe just to see if I could build it myself with perlite. All this weird. Okay, maybe that is a little weird. Maybe we all have a few strange hobbies. The point is, about 10 years ago, YouTube started to get flooded with these videos on how to build a rocket mass heater with a cob or mud bench. And the way it was, okay, for anybody new stumbling upon this, okay, I don't know how to talk about it. This is a conspiracy channel. For
Thank you.
lack of better words, we just don't believe things work the way your textbook or your news presents them. We'll leave it at that.
I'm not enjoying the amount of conspiracy theorist channels that have started immediately using like AI image generation, because it adds this weird surreal creepiness to the videos, and they were already out there and were a little unnerving. But with this kind of thing on top of it, it makes it so much more, like, objectively horrifying. H-Baird says, some of those with dark forces are the same that heat houses. And Kriko59, thanks for 7 months.
For now. So, this, like, new invention. Who discovered the rocket stove and where did it come from? And it does absolutely, the principles revolutionize, say, wood-burning stoves. Whole new way of doing it that's 90% more efficient, 95% less smoke and emissions. And it came, what a great new discovery. And of course, those that investigate what I investigate would say, this isn't some new discovery. It was intentionally hidden from us. Of course.
I don't know what's up and coming and new in the world of, like, heating. I don't know what this rocket stove thing is about, but if it's genuinely something that people kind of figured out recently, cool beans, doesn't mean that it's a conspiracy. We figure out new things all the time. If it is an old thing, okay, well, still some things sometimes get popularized or go viral on the internet, and people learn about them for the first time, and maybe that's what you're talking about. Either way, this is a weird thing to sort of surround a conspiracy with.
Yes, it was. Just like everything else that could benefit society and culture.
He already said it was found in a 4th century castle. Oh, okay. I missed that part, sorry. Fennikagami says, but AI makes it so that they can put even less effort into their content, Hannah.
And if there is...
I forgot to take my meds today.
Oh.
I don't know if you can tell. I feel, like, really unfocused.
No, can't. No, I thought you took them before we went to brunch.
I don't think I did.
You told me you needed to.
I know, and then I don't think I did.
Is anybody new here rolling their eyes like, oh, God, this is the conspiracy side of YouTube. I've heard.
You literally already said that you're a conspiracy channel. Don't say you're a conspiracy channel and then be defensive about it.
So much about. Give me 20 to 30 minutes and I'll prove it's been intentionally hidden from us.
Okay, do it. You're being so weirdly insecure about this. Just do it.
It's obvious that...
Like, I've watched plenty of conspiracies, and I've never been, like... Have you ever heard a conspiracy theorist be, like, this defensive about it?
that it has been. So
No,
after
not
part
that-
one,
that I
which
can
will
think
be
of.
they're screwing us again. They're screwing
like,
us
outwardly.
again. We'll go to part two, which will be the about
Conspiracy theorists tells on themselves on the bingo card.
Oh,
back
yeah.
in 15-minute discussion just about these stoves in general, how they work, how masonry heaters work. Just, that's not going to be for everybody. I'll lose 90%. But we'll talk about the specifics of how these stoves work and everything I've kind of learned over the last 15 years. The back 15 or 20 minutes, you'll know when we make that transition from the more conspiracy side of the video. And one proviso, I can only speak to the United States. I'm sure different parts of Europe have a whole different history in this regard. But when the dark forces are at play to keep certain processes or technologies from the people,
The dark forces must have a lot of departments. If one of them is in like the home heating department, that implies the existence of so many tendrils.
to screw the people, will keep
If you worked in the secret like cabal and you had to have a specific department where you like overseed to make sure things were going well for your evil nefarious plan, what department would you want to be in? I would like to be in the department of I'm gonna say streaming content. I'm gonna fuck up streaming content. What about you?
The Department of Genetically Modified Organisms.
Okay, all right. We're cooking. We're cooking.
the conspiracy to a minimum.
Does his mentioning the dark forces at work count as veiled anti-Semitism?
No.
Just say to benefit the corporations, they're more easily seen and noticed in the United States. For example, not allowing the entire West Coast to develop any sort of mass transit because the auto companies dictated that gigantic highway systems would be built to sell their automobiles. There's no
Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism on the bingo card.
doubt this is not conspiracy. They built these giant highways when you were on them in the 50s. There were 1 or 2 cars per 6 lanes, all dictated by the auto manufacturers. This isn't conspiracy. It's
Right, recognizing that people with money have power isn't a conspiracy. It's a recognition of our system having flaws in it and that we have power that pools upward. Like, you can point that out. That's not a conspiracy as much as it is a systemic critique you don't understand or know how to articulate.
common sense. Get your head out your ass.
Total shift.
Sorry. If we
What is this guy's personality? I don't mean to make it personal. It's just a little weird.
look at that. Who was that? Bellucci said it like that after he smashed the guitar. I gave my love a cherry that had no stone. Sorry. We look at the history of heating your home in the United States, and it was, Ben Franklin. We bow down. He gave us the first metal-ass piece of shit Franklin stove. Just
This is like hard. I don't think I've ever heard someone be this angry at the concept of a Franklin stove. Like, I understand that, like, in particular, America has this weird obsession with their, like, historical founders that, like, borders on religious. It's really weird how some kids get taught about America's founding fathers. Even the term founding fathers has kind of a weird connotation to it, right? That's fine. But also, like, why you mad about the stove? The stove didn't do anything to you in particular.
It's basically a
Guy's jealous because Ben fucks. Look, I get it. Ben Franklin fucked, but he was a dirty old man. He was a dirty young man. Do not look up to Ben Franklin, goddammit.
metal box, crafted iron, some shit-ass welding, whatever they were able to do in the 1700s.
Shit-ass welding. Fucking 1700s. How dare you?
And they just had a pipe out of it. You threw a bunch of wood in it, and you'll heat your home. Maybe you throw some eggs on top if you're lucky. Now, in terms of all the technological breakthroughs that have happened in the United States, let's think about the first computer, right? Was it called ENIAC? Whatever that thing was, it was like 2 football fields long, ENIAC. And now we have a supercomputer the size...
I guess it would depend on what you would consider the first computer. Like, there are, like, early systems that were, like, computers, but, like, are you talking about electronic computing, I'm assuming? I don't know.
Of a pinhead that can do like 1 billion times more processing than ENIAC could. And then we have the Wright brothers, and then just 60 years later we had the 747. going back and forth between New York and London. So the Franklin stove is introduced in whatever that would be. I don't know, the late 1700s. Just a piece of shit metal box you throw your wood in, then the metal heats up, and oh gee, isn't that...
Why is this guy so mad?
Like, he's mad about Franklin stoves, and like I'm pretty sure that a big part of why the Franklin stove was important was because of its design allowed for efficiency, like really, really good efficiency.
I know nothing about that.
Or that it also allowed you to have it like in the center of your like room rather than up against a wall or something. I don't even know the specifics, but I do think there's probably a reason. Let's do a 6th grade book report. What was important about the Franklin stove? Wow, look! Oh wow! Look at this. It's this is a Web 1.0 ass website. Look at this. I love it.
That's straight out of 2003.
In colonial America, homes were warmed by a fireplace. The Franklin stove, invented in 1742, is a metal-lined fireplace that stands in the middle of a room. It has a rear baffles for improved airflow. It provides more heat and less smoke than an open fireplace and uses less wood. Cool. Sounds great. If I was like back in the day, I'd be like, hell yeah, Franklin stoves. I certainly wouldn't be mad about it today, though, despite me not needing one.
Than huddling around an open fire like monkeys, like they say we did for the last millions of years.
Oh, he's like real mad that evolution is a thing. Holy shit.
And what do we have today in terms of the wood burning stove? The exact same thing, basically. 2023, the exact same thing that they had huddling around trying to not...
I cannot explain briefly the vast difference between people huddling around a campfire in a cave and some sort of professionally metallurgied stove? Those are very different things in terms of what they do and their efficiency and their usefulness, their longevity. Like, what are you talking about? When you look at the actual progress of technology, it's exponential as well. It took a lot longer to get from, like, the invention of agriculture to the Industrial Revolution than it did the Industrial Revolution to the internet age and the age of, like, microtechnology and microprocessors. You know what I mean? Progress builds upon itself. So the idea that, like, oh my gosh, how did they go so long between advancements in these certain things? Because it takes a long time, and it takes resources to develop things, and the more things you develop, the more resources you have to develop further. It builds on itself.
Starve and freeze to death in the 1700s. We just have a big old iron metal box, any decent wood stove today.
I would imagine a lot of the time people starving and freezing to death was a lack of resources. For instance, sure, you can have some sort of stove or a fireplace in the 1700s, but if you don't have fuel for it, if you don't have wood or coal or something, not much you can do.
It is so heavy you need 4 big people to carry it, and you just throw your wood inside. Here's the advancements. 0. Squat. But everything else incredibly has advanced. They say that your iPhone has...
Like, I'm not even a fan of, like, home heating, but I'm offended, like, on behalf of anyone who has spent time engineering solutions for stoves.
100 million times the computing power of what existed at any large university in the mid-60s. All this all over the place. Geordie Rose, this fraud, comes like, I've got this thing called a quantum computer, Geordie says, and it reaches into another dimension to get the answer. His words, not mine. All these advancements, and what do we have today in terms of heating your home? You throw your piece of shit...
Why is he talking like that? I'm so... Like, I'm not even as interested in the conspiracy itself, because whatever, it's a guy talking about thinking that, like these stoves are a conspiracy. What is this personality? What is he doing with his voice? What is this affect? I am so confused.
Put into the same basic iron box that Ben Franklin, oh no, they had no ability to, let's say, modernize natural ways to heat the house without, they wanted to push the corporations and what the corporations could provide you with cheap oil, gas, and electric heat. Get you to go over to that. Then they just snuff out the ways you can heat.
are you under the impression that the vast majority of the modern world could function the same if instead of petroleum we just all used fireplaces or Franklin stoves to somehow power things? I don't even understand the concept he's having here. It's like he thinks that the only use for petroleum is in, like, heating? Or even in, like, the production of electricity? Like, petroleum is used for a lot of things, including for fueling, like, cars and stuff, which is the way that most things move from place to place.
The home for yourself. You think it's a conspiracy? Pay attention. And for anybody that's new here or may have actually stumbled upon this, you may be, I can hear you right now saying, well, what else can you do? It's a wood-burning stove. It's a metal box you put wood in. I mean, what else is available? A lot. That's what I'm going to show you throughout the remainder of this video.
Okay.
You'll see how ridiculously easy it is to increase the efficiency of, say, the wood-burning stove or the fireplace by 95 to 99%.
And how do you measure that, sir?
I was also going to say, like, it's, if you know this, presumably the knowledge that you have gained is based on things you have either read on books or the internet or in school, where you had to very specifically, like, get that information from other people who spent time studying it. Like, you can't figure this out necessarily. Let's say it's the 1700s and you live in a cabin somewhere. You don't have access to all this information on physics to know, like, here's how I can hypothetically increase the efficiency of my heating system. Like, a prerequisite to that and what you are doing is presumably an understanding of engineering and thermodynamics that people wouldn't have access to in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people did stumble upon this 15 years ago, but you don't think they knew this existed? Of course it existed. It's been snuffed out intentionally. If that sounds like conspiracy to you, well, it is conspiracy. It's the biggest conspiracy of all time. That's how the world works. Get used to it. Of course it's been snuffed.
Does he think that people didn't start building rocket stoves until 15 years ago?
Apparently. I don't know.
And remove.
I don't know anything about this rocket stove thing. It was like an old invention that then people refigured out, or it like became big on the internet for people to make in their houses or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it even something that was rediscovered, or does he literally think
don't know.
that it was just popularized 15 years ago, therefore it was invented 15 years ago?
I know that it became popular on YouTube for people to build them. I don't know if it was anything that was ever actually forgotten how to do.
Okay. Moira Soma says, as a person who lived in the mountains of Norway where the temperature fell below minus 43 degrees, I'm very, very happy the Franklin stove was invented. Otherwise, I might have frozen to death. That's a pretty good reason. Thanks, Ben Franklin. He was a little syphilitic, but, you know. There are books from the 70s on it. Well, there you go.
Moved. I'll show you.
Mr. Blast is always so handy because he has such, like, a broad knowledge base of stuff like this.
It's like you. You have a broad knowledge of things.
Yeah, but the things that I'm into are, like, movies or pop culture. That's not useful in a practical way most of the time.
Bullshit.
There's the Wikipedia page on rocket stoves. A rocket stove is an efficient and hot-burning stove using a small diameter wood fuel. Fuel is burned in a simple combustion chamber containing an insulated vertical chimney, which ensures almost complete combustion prior to the flame reaching the cooking surface. Let's just look at the history. I don't need to know how it works. Precursor to the rocket stove was the argand lamp, which was patented in 1780. This was a major development of the traditional oil lamp, which introduced a glass chimney above the flame. Excuse me. As well as being used for lighting, this design was also used for cooking and for heating water due to its affording much the strongest heat without smoke. Larry Winiarski, technical director of Aproveco, began developing the rocket stove in 1980 based on a Vita stove designed by Sam Baldwin. Oh, okay, so it was something that was presumably tinkered around with, predicted, and then eventually made more practical more recently from like the 1980s until when it became practical for people to build them in their homes in the early 2000s. That seems like it makes sense. Back to it.
How simple it is to increase these efficiencies by up to 95 or more percent. Look how far society has come in, quote, all the areas important to them, or this dark thing I reference. They told us they split the atom, right, via the Manhattan Project, or down the road here is the Limerick nuclear power plant. I don't know how many thousands of homes it provides electricity to. We talked about the computing power in the iPhone. Medical procedures, quadruple bypasses today are actually becoming routine. Well, Matt, you don't have to inform us all the ways society is just overflowing with these incredible breakthroughs in terms of tech. Okay, I hear you. Well, let's go back. Let's go.
Advances in one field don't necessitate that advances in other fields move at the same pace. That's not how things work. Like, fields can be related, but that doesn't mean that all fields move together at the same pace. Usually within a single field, like, there will be advancements, and then maybe there'll be some sort of breakthrough either within or in sort of, like, connected industries and either, like, materials science or some other theoretical thing that gives people either new materials to work with or ideas within this field, and they go, oh, let's try this thing, and then they do. Like, everything isn't in lockstep. We aren't all progress bars filling at the same rate. That's not how things work. The world is chaotic, and the way that we're developing things, whatever the field might be, aren't linear.
Go back to heating your home. That was not transferable to the wood stove, the coal stove, the ability to heat your home on your own. You'll see just this little J configuration changes everything. Saying the research labs at Stanford and MIT just had no idea, but monkeys just by mistake stacking fire brick up in Africa somewhere could come up with it, and anybody could see that once you change the configurations and do certain things with the exhaust, you can create a system with 90% less wood, and they're so worried about—
Why would you think to do this? That doesn't make any sense. Like, what are you talking about? Literally, stuff like this ended up being developed because of a greater understanding of physics. Why would you expect any person who doesn't have a basic understanding of physics to be able to do this, or a complicated understanding of physics?
About green, right? What's the hypocrisy all about here? 99% less emissions, zero smoke.
I think he was alluding to just like the origins of humans in general, but there were almost certainly racist undertones.
Aren't they so concerned about—
Do we need a yikes on the bingo card? That would be a free space. That's every episode.
green? If this whole climate change thing was legitimate, 10 years ago the government would have said, whoa, everybody that has a wood stove, there's a whole new way of doing it.
I have a couple things to say there. First of all, people love to be told what to do by the government. Famously in the United States, everyone in the United States loves to be told what to do by the government. Woo. Secondly, it implies that the government is a singular entity and not made up of many individuals working towards different goals within parties, within factions. And also, it implies that everyone in the government or the government as a whole is competent, which again, I'm not saying it's wholly incompetent either. It just displays a very black and white view of the world, of governance, of how things work, and assumes that— I don't know if it's the same as sort of the just world hypothesis. Let's call it the rational world hypothesis. It's the idea that, well, if this thing were true, they would do this, assuming that people all take ideal rational actions all the time, but that's not how the world works. So you can't really base your assumptions on that.
They would have thrown the tax credits at that.
Look at
They would have
Orange
made
Sun.
the technology available. They'd have said—
The thing about that is, even if you have, like, stoves, the problem is, if you're no longer heating people's homes using things like gas, electricity, whatever, and everyone's using stoves, the logging industry is all of a sudden going to become really big again? Thank you.
Love you.
I love you too.
Bye, chat. I'll be in chat.
Congrats again, Doctor.
Thank you, wife of Doctor. I love her. You gonna stay up with mommy?
Anyway, as I was saying, if everyone started using stoves, it would have its own issues. And also, Just gonna put it out there. I don't know if everywhere in the world has the infrastructure to be able to, like, heat everyone's homes via these stoves and produce enough of these stoves for everyone. Just feels like you haven't thought about this even a little bit, and it is entirely so you can just be mad about another thing. Stoves. Hydrate.
Move to this type of configuration. If you have to spend $10,000, we'll give you $5,000 back. Where are the tax credits for that? Instead of putting these giant solar panels that actually pollute the environment more once they go bad all over your roof. We'll talk about solar. What an absolute farce and joke that.
It's entirely fair to point out, like, the environmental impact of, like, the actual materials that go into the production of solar panels. But it's not really fair to say that that entirely gets rid of the good that they do, and converting over to them in general is a very good thing, especially as we get better at designing them. I would imagine that they can make them safer. I imagine they already take that into account.
That is. It's all a guise to make it seem like we're trying to move in the right direction. When it's intended failure on purpose. We'll get to that. Where is the government in terms of the rocket stove or the...
Again, assuming the government always does the most efficient thing to solve any particular problem.
The Russian thermal mass or the Russian masonry heater configuration that completely does away with emissions. No matter how you see it, this is the biggest hypocrisy in the world. Where are these types of stove configurations in Al Gore's, what was it called? An Inconvenient Truth. He's inconvenient, ugly. Where's
Got him! An inconvenient truth. You're inconvenient ugly. You know, they say conspiracy theorists basically are all people at the level of arguing like children. There's no but.
The tax credit.
Starbright, thanks for subscribing with Prime. Tweakle, thanks for 11 months, is almost a full year.
Okay. Now, on the conspiracy side, there's...
do I have any idea when I'll open my P.O. Box stuff? I have some stuff. It is moist. We did get the cheese back, by the way. We did get the cheese back. I don't know if it's still good. I'll let you know.
It's only a few choices if you want to. If you just refuse to ever take the conspiracy side, you can believe that they didn't know about this technology, the government, right? Yeah.
Something is leaking, is what I was. There was something leaking in one of the boxes, so they are sitting on the porch. I'm going to deal with them, but there was something leaking in one of the boxes. I'm not sure if it's the cheese that, after sitting around, ended up liquefying, or if it's something else someone sent. So there's some moist. Trevor of Hell's Belmont, thanks for 29 months.
Yeah, they build F-15s and this and that, satellite imagery. They had no idea you could just make a certain configuration and eliminate emissions from a stove. Either they didn't know, or they intentionally didn't want people to know about it, or maybe they can't stop the YouTube videos, but they certainly aren't going to help promote it because it doesn't do anything for their corporations. The oil industry, the gas industry, even the solar industry. Who's involved in that? Elon the Musk. The solar, electric heat pumps, just total pieces of shit. Chinese parts that will soon break. You can trace the history of heat and heating your home in the United States back to being exactly in line, in parallel with the corporations. So let's go back looking at the history of heat. Again, this is...
Okay, I'm over the heating conspiracy. I want to see Cabbage Guy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Oh, so you thought we were done with the Cabbage babies?
I wish we were. I wish we were done with the Cabbage babies. I never thought in my life I'd have to think about cabbage or babies this much less in the same context.
Nah, we're just getting started. And sure, I know some of you think we're obsessed with this topic, but it really has nothing to do with that. It's something that no one is really deep diving into right now.
Because there's nothing to deep dive! You could, if you tried to dive into it, it would not end well for you. There would be a sign that says no diving. It'd be like a lazy river. It would be like this deep. It would not be good. Don't deep dive. You'll break your neck. Don't do it. This is nonsense. Dr. Gamble with a link. My cabbages. My cabbages.
Oh, my cabbages!
Purple Pondini says, what did I walk into? Cabbages.
My cabbages! You're gonna pay for this!
2 cabbages, please.
Malicious destruction of
I'm very scared for the new show. Where's the cabbage guy? There he is.
Now, and we truly believe that
Thank you for the 5,000 bits, by the way, Purple Pondini. Sheesh.
there's something to this and a connection between Cabbage Patches, Orphans.
You always seem to, you always have, you just come in and you do the thing. It's like you have one of those guns that shoots the dollar bills.
And cloning. Now sure, you can try and say that we're stretching the truth or making something out of nothing. That the postcards were just a means to get around the taboo topic of talking about sex in the Victorian age. But honestly, that's kind of nonsense. So you're saying it was too taboo to talk about sex, but it wasn't taboo to have a bunch of naked babies in Cabbage Patches with tech—
Correct! Correct! What? 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 I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But honestly, that's kind of nonsense. So you're saying it was too taboo to talk about sex, but it wasn't taboo to have a bunch of naked babies in Cabbage Patches with text literally saying for sale, and also postcards that are telling you this has to do with repopulation.
Okay, hold on. We're good. We're good. I'm good. I'm calm. I'm calm. Yes. Just so everyone knows, that's how I feel all the time during this show. I can just normally cover it with my calm demeanor. Okay. Yes, at the time, sex was a very taboo topic. Naked babies weren't, because they're babies. Like, you're weird if you think that's weird. Like, I'm not saying, like people still, and I don't think people should do this, because nowadays, especially, we know there are a lot of fucking creeps out there, so we're all a lot more aware of, like, hey, you know, be careful about your kids' baby pictures, because there are a lot of creeps out there. But especially at the time, no, they're fucking babies. Most people see baby pictures of people and they don't give a fuck, because they're not goddamn creeps. I'm kind of weirded out that you find it odd. But that's a whole other topic. Let's just move past it. This entire conspiracy is still based off the fact that you don't seem to understand what a joke is. It's a joke. It's a joke that they're selling the babies. They're not selling the babies in real life. It's a joke for the postcard. The babies in the postcard aren't real babies. It's a postcard. You know? Like, it's a joke. It's not depicting a real situation. Dr. Campbell says, so he doesn't realize the baby factory is a metaphor, right? No, he doesn't realize it. He doesn't realize it. Morosoma, thanks for gifting a sub.
Or even babies being boiled in a cauldron. No, that's perfectly normal.
At the time, yeah, I guess.
Talking about sex was just too out there for our ancestors.
I mean, even today, people use weird euphemisms for sex. Yes, it's a joke. Even if they were completely fine with it, it's still a joke. It's still like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, ha-ha joke.
Right. It's only a few people, but they're probably not even watching the content fully or just really hate this subject for some reason.
I don't hate the subject. I hate conspiratorial thinking. It's very frustrating. It's unfortunate.
But yeah, like I said, we're going to continue anyways, because this connects with everything. From Tartaria to
Tartaria on the bingo card.
Resets, and yes, even repopulation and cloning.
Clones on the bingo card!
Now, what further backs this up is the fact that there are other forms of media that see the exact same symbolism. Today, we're going to be discussing a really weird movie, like, I don't know how to describe.
It's called Patch Town. I've watched it. It's not good. I've actually seen this movie, and not recently, so I'm not going to remember a lot of it. But I remember watching this because it was on Netflix some years ago. And, you know, the imagery intrigued me because it does involve, like, sort of a literal cabbage patch, you know? Like Cabbage Patch Kids. There are babies that are sort of cloned or something out of cabbages. And I thought, okay, this has kind of like weird, bleak, dystopian, steampunk, Victorian dystopia vibes. Almost like Repo the Genetic Opera, a little bit, if you're familiar with that, with Anthony Stewart Head and Alexa Vega. So I was like, okay, this kind of has that vibe. I'll check it out. Bad movie. Didn't like it. Creepy imagery, which is why I picked this video.
Describe it. It's so freaking weird. Maybe the weirdest movie ever. Well, okay, not the weirdest movie ever. It's not Holy Mountain level weird, but it has to be in the top 10. I mean, I'm telling you. We're gonna break down this movie into all the symbolism and then connect it with all of our research on the subject, which will be super interesting. This film is called Patch Town and it's from 2014. So this isn't recent or anything. Someone figured this stuff out almost a decade ago and turned it into one of the most bizarre—
They didn't figure it out. It's literally based on the same postcard pastiche that you're talking about. Someone also saw that, but they didn't look at it and go, oh my god, there's a secret conspiracy. They looked at it and went, oh, that's kind of an interesting, like, vintage what's the word I'm thinking of? Tableau that used to be a thing. What if I took that and made it literal and turned it into kind of an avant-garde, creepy movie? It's not telling you something secret. It's someone who saw the same thing, and instead of going off on a conspiratorial tangent, made something creative with it. I didn't like the movie, but again, they still made something creative, and kudos to them. Making a movie's hard. What's up? What? Oh, one sec.
That's the cheese.
The cheese is in the fridge. Oh, it's the Rush Creek Reserve, the stuff that we were seeing the video of. Ooh. So the thing that was leaking was the cold pack, it was not the cheese. The cheese is in the fridge, so the cheese, hopefully, is good. Exciting. Hannah mentions cheese on the bingo card.
fever dreams of a movie that I've ever seen. So yeah, with that—
Would this be ancient wisdom? Nah, that's more if someone, like, cites the Bible or something. I would say this is... Let me take a look at the bingo card. We actually need to go over the bingo card anyway, so I'll look and decide right now. The stove thing could... Well, no. Well, let's take a look. Let's just figure it out. Illuminati, Freemasons, Cabal... Predictive programming, that's what it is. Let's call it predictive programming. He mentioned Tartaria. And no, it's not the live maggot cheese. Hannah mentions cheese, of course. Hannah and Baja flirt. Conspiracy theorists tells them themselves. Forced population reduction as a motive. Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism. Hannah's so exasperated for sure. Clones. Incorrectly believes the evidence is self-evident. Baja blasts for her doctorate. And I think that's it. Oh, Cat makes a guest appearance, of course. Okay. I wouldn't say that's dies of laughter. I would, because that was more Hannah is so exasperated. I was frustrated.
Let's go ahead and get started. First off, the movie is Canadian and it was originally an award-winning short film before it became the full-length movie.
I can see that. I think it would work better as a short film. I guess I haven't seen the original short film. That's probably pretty good. It's the kind of thing that, if you're a movie person, you'll know what I mean. Seems like a short film idea. It's more about the visual and like, oh, interesting idea, but like the plot doesn't overstay its welcome, you know? Because like, ooh, that's an interesting idea is good for like, you know, 10 to 15 minutes. Beyond that, you need a plot I give a shit about, you know? I didn't really care for the actual film.
The film was directed by Craig Goodwill, who took inspiration from Russian folklore where babies are born in cabbage patches.
Oh wow, that seems to answer every question you've ever had about this entire topic, doesn't it? Wow.
So, this is based on Russian legends which seem to also have inspired the overall aesthetic of the factory and town where these cabbages are grown in the movie. The idea of children being born from cabbage patches is not unique to Russia, but is also found in other Eastern European folklore. The movie starts with an old vintage clip called A Toy's Journey, an American success story, which is kind of where it makes its first parallels to the Cabbage Patch Kids and successful marketing of a product. Strangely, it says that this announcement is brought to you by the purveyors of the finest cabbage vodka, and the bottles have a double-headed eagle or phoenix on them, which could represent Russia, but I just found it weird. This is where we learn about Patch Enterprise.
Wait, why is that weird? It's cabbage because there's the cabbage motif throughout the film, and it's vodka because we're talking about Russia. It's not conspiratorial. It's just a thing they did in the movie.
Which is the nation's leading toy manufacturer. They produce many different toys, but there is a secret to their success.
Oh, yeah, I remember. They like make real babies that get turned into dolls or something, right?
Innovation. Innovation in science, manufacturing, and the finest organic ingredients, where it shows a video of people harvesting cabbages. Wait, what? These are delivered straight to our customers, all around the nation. Then it says, how do we keep our prices so low? Well, that is the Patch Enterprise secret, as the voice starts to distort and glitch. Okay, so just a fair warning, it starts to get dark really fast, so hopefully you guys are prepared, but just another warning, there's some really weird stuff about to happen. Next scene, we get a 3D composite of Patch Town's factory, and there's a communist logo, a
Miru-sama says I might have a bingo? That's gotta be the quickest bingo we've ever had, right?
fenced-in plot of land with
Let me see your card.
a massive field of cabbages. And there's also what seems to be multiple storks flying around on their way to deliver these babies.
Let's take a look. Doesn't understand architecture. No, we didn't have doesn't understand architecture yet, did we? I don't think we had that. Baja Blasts. We did have that. Free space, believe sci-fi tech. Hands exasperated. I don't think we had the architecture one. So close, but no cigar. Where is the video? Goddamn Cabbage Man. Why do you elude me?
The next shot
Oh, you're good, Miru-sama.
opens to the interior of the factory where the employees are at work with a conveyor belt that's moving cabbages down the line. This is where we get introduced to the main character, and a flashback begins, some type of memory. In this memory, there's a little girl.
That's actually a good question. Did we have sci-fi tech? Let me look. I didn't think we necessarily had that one either, but I could have just forgotten. No, we didn't. We didn't have sci-fi tech.
And a record of adoption. The song in the background is a song that starts with Mon petit chou, a well-known phrase in French that means my little cabbage, which is supposed to be a form of endearment. In this instance, the girl is singing this song with this phrase to apparently a doll. So obviously this doll meant a lot to her. But she basically is singing to it and calling it my little cabbage and showing how much she cares about this thing. Then we hear a, "John, wake up." It must have just been a dream. John works in this factory.
He's literally going to explain the entire plot of the movie, isn't he?
And is obviously bored due to the repetitive nature of the factory, or perhaps some form of escape. An employee on the other side woke him up to save him, as if he would have got in trouble if he was caught sleeping. John then resumes his work, and the next shot shows a cabbage being cut open and a goo-like liquid starts dripping from the dissection. He then shoves his hand into the cabbage, which apparently represents a womb, and he just performed a C-section or cabbage section, and then he yanks out what appears to be a premature baby. He raises it up and starts performing this weird thing where he...
Yeah, like, this is the part of the movie I thought was interesting. I like weird, dumb bullshit. Like, this is interesting. This is the stuff that in, like, the short film was probably, like, you know, one of the main parts of it. I don't care about the plot. This is just like, oh, ew, gross, weird thing.
He cleans the baby with his other hand, and we can also see that there's an umbilical cord connected to the cabbage. Then he sprays the baby with the hose as the crying continues. Apparently, this is a factory where babies are literally pulled out of cabbages as clones, meaning they were born artificially, no mother.
That's not the definition of a clone. But okay, whatever. That's not the right word for that.
Now after cleaning the baby, he ties a rope around the feet strangely, and then he pulls a lever which drops a chain with the hook to where now he can attach the crying fetus with its legs tied to the hook while it's hanging upside down, which, let's consider the esoteric
spurious symbology as evidence.
Symbolism of the hanged man. He then moves on to the next cabbage to repeat the entire process again. So that took roughly under 1 minute, but let's just say it took 2 minutes to dissect a cabbage, so that's one clone every 2 minutes, and let's just say he's working an 8-hour day. How many clones a day would that be? Let's just say he has a total of 30 minutes of break time a day. A single worker would be outputting around 225 clones a day. So hold up. What
Fuck off! It's a fucking movie!
happens to these clones?
But that's just a theory. A film theory.
Well, the next scene starts and we hear a buzzer. It seems work is done for the day. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, this movie randomly starts becoming a musical, like, out of nowhere, and then
Yeah, that was part. I like a musical. I like musicals. I have a decent amount of musicals in my collection. Hannah mentions Blu-rays. I can't help myself. This was not a good musical. This is a bad musical.
randomly stops. I don't know, I found it really weird, like it rhymes? I'll mention this later, but yeah, that's part of what makes this movie so bizarre and surreal. But it's also kind of bad. Well,
it's called Patch Town.
Well, not necessarily. I like John's parts, but the parts with the bad guy, it just made no sense. It's as if it was trying to be Dr. Seuss, but then there's no real structure. It just starts randomly rhyming and stopping with no clear format. I don't know, it's just really weird.
You can just say it's a bad movie. It doesn't have to be a conspiracy.
Like, we just watched a cabbage get stabbed with this dark tone, and then all of a sudden it becomes...
Isn't that pretty much the characteristic of musicals, that people start singing out of nowhere? Well, music is motivated, right? It's not out of nowhere usually. Usually in a musical, the music sections are when something needs to be said that can't be expressed fully with words alone. So usually there's a purpose for songs, even if the purpose is just like, we're having a lot of fun, let's have a fun vibe, you know? The music felt unmotivated. It felt like they're like, well, this was a good short film. How do we fill the time? Let's make it a musical. How do we make a musical? And then they kind of did that out of necessity.
Becomes a Broadway show?
Famously, as we all know, the only musicals are Broadway musicals.
Anyways, Patch Enterprise prohibits singing, but he continues as we see multiple employees working, and John is singing about how he knows this isn't his family. As he sings, we get this reality of what this dark place is. It's a factory for growing or cloning babies. We see all the workers who are doing this as they perform the exact same procedure as John. Look, I told you this was going to be a weird movie, and it gets much worse. This is just setting the entire stage. If you're new to the channel, by the way, part of the reason this is so strange is because of the history of the Cabbage Patches and postcards.
That's not weird! It's not random! The person who made the movie saw the postcards and made the movie based off the postcards!
Its relation to baby incubators and orphan trains. We will discuss this towards the end, but if you want to understand the full
Sorry. This is why I need a soundboard.
Sorry, didn't mean.
Why? Why does it not just go to the immediate clip?
You were jealous that your husband was.
Yes, I did it. I killed Yvette. I hated her so much. It flames on the side of my face.
context of this review and breakdown, I highly suggest you check those out first. Basically,
this isn't even, like, guys, this guy, I swear to God, I almost titled this episode Oops All Cabbage and just did all his recent Cabbage videos, because since the last time we covered his Cabbage videos, he's put out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos about cabbage.
John dreams of stealing off into the night.
But I figured even for me, that's a bit long to talk about something as stupid as cabbage, so.
He has a
This is the cabbage section of the episode, and we'll move on after this.
Feeling that something isn't right. He doesn't belong to this place. So the employees are leaving work, and it becomes apparent that there is some tight security. A speaker gives a reminder that all cabbage are the property of Patch Enterprise. If they are caught with the cabbage, then there will be serious consequences. Oh, and as this announcement is going on, they get checked by security, they get weighed and scanned, and each one of these
it's a commentary on workers being more like the property of the companies they work for than human beings.
Employees have a barcode or mark on their forearm.
Like, can you imagine if conspiracy theorists understood what metaphors were? The world would be a much better place if everyone understood what, like, metaphors and like symbols were and themes. And in, like, a real way, not a conspiracy way.
But oh no, someone got caught. It seems that one of John's friends, another employee, was trying to escape with the cabbage. He looks at John for help, but John just stands there in silence. So, people are trying to escape with cabbages for some reason? This causes the main antagonist or bad guy to come in, and he takes the cabbage after his crew beats up this guy. Then they take him away as the guy with the hat confiscates the cabbage.
The villain in this looks like a D&D big bad, but like season 1 of your campaign where you're not fighting like an eldritch being that's trying to destroy the universe, but like, you know, he's like an oil baron or something.
Property. We then get another shot of the factory to see the massive scale of this creepy place, and we zoom out to the town that John lives. John goes home to his wife, and it's obvious that John is torn up about what happened at work. The reason is because, well, 1, he knows he doesn't belong, and 2, that guy who got caught was trying to steal a cabbage after he told him not to steal it from the line. This worries him because John and his wife Mary are secretly taking care of a baby that was birthed from one of these cabbages. But instead of going through the system, they took in the child as an orphan. It wasn't birthed by them, it was birthed by the cabbage, so that still would technically be an adoption, which is what we find out later. So yeah, They have a baby that they keep under the floor.
Oh my god, you're just explaining the movie!
Getting cabbage vodka at some bar while a Polish woman is singing a song about cabbages growing. John has come here to meet up with what seems to be like a gang or mafia leader or something, and gives this guy the payment. So they sit to have a conversation, and we learn John's not sleeping too well, but Boris tells him, yeah, the first few months can be rough. We find out it's not the baby causing him that much stress, it's more so that he's having these dreams. So he explains the dream and says, I'm crazy, right? But Boris looks at him surprised, like, no, you aren't crazy. Boris opens a drawer and then pulls out a private file. He hands John that the inventor built a machine that froze the babies in time. We find out that when this transformation happens, that they're still alive, or he says, we're
It's the worst version of a nostalgia critic.
still alive, still
You just need someone angrily shooting a gun in between clips.
aware of their surroundings. So basically, after they're converted, grab the file on John and is going, and then he takes Boris to make him forget, or in other words, re-education. John is on the road and sleeping and starting to remember what happened. His mom, the doll owner, grew up and abandoned him. We then find out that the driver figured it all out, and he knows that he's a clone, but that he never had a mother because he wasn't a popular model.
Okay, I can't deal with this Cabbage video. He's just summarizing the movie. Here's a different Cabbage video.
Today, I wanted to talk about the Little Rascals and kind of rethinking what that show is really about.
Is he gonna do a thing where he's like, here, in this episode of the Little Rascals, you'll see they're causing a lot of trouble. He's just gonna very slowly and annoyingly recap an episode of Little Rascals.
You could call it a fan theory, I guess, but at the same time, it's a peek into early Hollywood and
A Cabbage credit card! Odd Tall Man thinks for 10 months, says, yay! Almost a year. Woo!
the use of orphans in the early entertainment industry. Now, whether they were orphans in real life is hard to tell, but it seems quite evident that some of the most popular movies in the golden era.
I'm sorry, do you think that people in movies have to be the thing they are in the movie? Like, you think if you see a child in a movie playing an orphan, you think that child is an orphan? Do you think that the guy that played the Hamburglar really went to jail for stealing hamburgers? That wasn't why he went to jail. That wasn't why he went to jail at all.
Of Hollywood revolve around orphans. Take Dorothy, for example, from The Wizard of Oz. There's something about this symbolism that is used consistently throughout the dawn of early film. I thought it would be interesting to consider that in connection with resets and repopulation. Why were there so many movies about orphans in the first 30 years of Hollywood?
Oh boy, wait until you hear about all of the things that happened in the early 20th century.
Well, one of the most famous shows ever is The Little Rascals. Now, if you're like me from the new generation, I didn't really watch this growing up at all. I only know about it because there was a movie made in 1994, and I did watch this growing up as I'd go to my friend's house and this was the only movie that he was allowed to watch. This and Sandlot, actually.
I'm a little concerned about your friend. Can we get a time machine and go help that friend? Bad parenting on the bingo card. I'm a little concerned if the only thing your children can watch is Little Rascals and The Sandlot. Like, I like those movies. I own both those movies. But, like, those are the only movies your child can watch? What about Stuart Little? Can the kid watch Stuart Little? I feel like that's in the same ballpark.
So I didn't really see any of the older shows growing up, and I'm definitely not an expert. I'm just researching the past of this whole entire concept, trying to view it from
Fun fact, Donald Trump is in the 1994 Little Rascals movie, and so is Whoopi Goldberg.
an outside perspective,
And so is Reba McEntire.
and it led me
And so is... God, who was the nerd kid's dad? I feel like there was a punchline. Was his dad Bill Gates? Was that the joke?
down this interesting rabbit hole, or theory I guess you could say. Perhaps there are things missing, but but I would love an expert who knows everything about it.
No, his dad was Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the kid's dad. Okay. Donald Trump played the villain kid's dad in Little Rascals. Not the bully kid. The kid who was in the love triangle with Alfalfa and Darla. Yeah. I don't know math, but I remember the names of the kids from the Little Rascals.
To explain a few things, because there's some really weird stuff.
Oh my god! Yes! That means that the villain kid in Little Rascals has to be like Eric Trump. No, he was smarter than Eric. It was probably Donald Jr. It was Don Jr. That kid grew up to probably have coke bloat.
Going on in these old shows. So the Little Rascals is actually based on a film series called Our Gang. And it wasn't called Little Rascals from what I could tell. It was called Hal Roach's Rascals, which were a series of comedy short films chronicling a group of poor neighborhood children and their adventures, starting in 1922, and the production continued until 1944.
I honestly don't know anything about the actual, original Little Rascals, so I can't speak to any of the historicity of, stuff. I would imagine none of them were treated well, but yeah, probably especially the non-white kids were not probably treated well. It was, the early 1900s.
Okay, so let's remember that. They're described as poor children. You see, from what I remember, it was just a group of kids who were just being kids.
Yeah, that's the 90s movie. That's the 90s movie you're remembering, which is an adaptation. Do you know what an adaptation is?
But it seems there are some details left out on the overall summaries of the show. That's what made this investigation difficult, is this entire conspiracy going to be... Excuse me. Is this entire conspiracy going to be based off the idea that he is concerned and confused why the Little Rascals lore is inconsistent? That there are many older episodes, which I've seen all the talkies and almost all of the silent films that are online, and I can't really find anything that is detailed on the lore behind all of this.
Okay, yep, okay, alright.
Who are these kids? And
Who are these Little Rascals? Yeah, sure. Over here, we got 3 stooges, but why are they stooges? Were they abused? Were they neglected? Did no one teach them to read?
Why are they involved in all...
Why is the tramp homeless? Why does he have a little mustache and cane? We need to understand the deep meaning behind these characters.
All these weird scenarios, even secret societies. So let me ask you, are the Little
Ugh. That alfalfa creeps me out. I don't know why. I don't like that kid's face. I don't like this kid's face.
Rascals orphans?
Yeah.
If so, that would certainly put a huge spin on the entire show. Okay, so why are we talking about the Little Rascals? Little Rascals is not just a show about poor children.
No, it's a comedy show.
First off,
it was like a comedy shorts about getting into mischief.
Basically like the first show in Hollywood. We're talking about the early 1920s is when this all started. Especially a show of its kind showing children of multiple races together going on adventures. It was huge, but it's mostly seen from a comedic view. That when watching the show, we're seeing the world from the point of view of the children. But what if there's something else going on? Something darker that doesn't get enough light, or at least I haven't seen anything explaining what this show is really about. Well, let's begin. Because remember, this show has some of the most iconic characters in Hollywood history.
Fenigami says, why are so many conspiracy theorists bargain bin charismaless Matt Pats? It's all they can do. Marcus Drake says, Hannah, bullying a probably dead child actor. You can't have both. You can either say I'm bullying a child or you're bullying someone who's dead. You can't have both. Either they're still a child actor in your head and I'm making fun of a child, or you're thinking of them as someone who died at 90 years old. You can't have both. I'll give you one. You cannot simultaneously ding me for making fun of a child and someone who's so old they're definitely dead. You gotta pick one. Pick a lane. I'm sorry, I'm cracking myself up today. I am... I'm sorry.
Alfalfa, Spanky, Darla, Froggy. Many of the bits are very well known. But this theory really brings into question...
If the Little Rascals wound up in a Lord of the Flies situation, which one do you think would become the leader, and who would be Piggy? That XY girl says, I know you're hesitant, but I agree with the conspiracist on pure nostalgia basis.
Everything about what this show is really about. So you're probably like, okay then, what is it about? What's so weird about the show? Okay, let's get started. I want you to see the Little Rascals from a whole new point of view, a new reality. The idea is that these Little Rascals are actually street orphans. They are orphans who constantly get in trouble and get moved home from home, and that's why they're Little Rascals. You Little Rascals! They can't seem to stay in one place. Not only that, but these street orphans are initiated in a secret society and have secret rituals. I know.
What?
Now that sounds crazy, but hang with me. That's essentially what each episode is about, or at least originally. Now keep in mind that as the show progressed into the later seasons, they begin to have families for a longer period of time, but in the beginning of the Our Gang series, there is no question. This is a street gang of orphans or children who do not have birth parents or parents at all. This isn't a joke either, it's about to get super weird, and I couldn't even make this up if I wanted to. It's literally in the show. You will see it clearly if we go through some of the most bizarre episodes. It will become clear that there's something not quite right about this whole show. Well, first off, let's lay down some ground rules. The idea is that they're street orphans and they get moved around to different locations throughout the series. Okay, so once you're an orphan, you're always an orphan. It doesn't matter if the kid later in the series says mom, the child was once an orphan, and so it's still considered a part of the street gang. Also, the dog symbolizes everything I just said. It means a street orphan that is a part of the club. Sounds pretty wild, huh?
No, what are you even trying to say? Word salad? What?
This is also interesting because there are some connections to this show in the Cabbage Patches. We'll discuss that later.
Fucking Cabbage, man.
But if we can find clues that connect orphans to Cabbage Patches, then perhaps this suggests that they are related to one another.
Can you please say that again to a licensed therapist?
Not just that, but what is the connection between secret societies?
If we can just connect these Little Rascals to the Cabbages, it'll all finally come together. It'll be the final piece of this puzzle. The Cabbage Little Rascals connection.
Mind control and orphans. So keep in mind that there are a lot of episodes, many to consider, so I'll do my best to present, but it's an extremely difficult task. It may be best to start with just refreshing on probably what everyone is familiar with, or if you've seen the newest movie. Okay, so the main character...
To be clear, that's not the newest Little Rascals movie. I think the newest Little Rascals movie is Little Rascals to the Rescue, which was sort of a sequel to the 90s Little Well, you know, it's a Little Rascals movie. They're all kind of sequels of each other. They're all just Little Rascals things. And it was a direct-to-streaming / direct-to-DVD movie that came out in the last 10 years. Don't remember exactly when. It was okay for a Little Rascals thing. Not as good as the 90s one.
Character, for me at least, is Spanky, who is the leader of the crew and the best character in my opinion. Then you have Alfalfa, which I'm sure all of you have heard of or seen at some point in time with his famous cowlick. A few more important characters are Froggy.
Yeah, they're like, yeah. All versions of the Little Rascals are different universes of the multiverse. They're all in the Rascals verse. Yes.
Stymie, Buckwheat.
This is their C-137 Little Rascals. This is Little Rascals 616. ultimate Little Rascals are where they're all super racist and having incest with each other.
And Porky. Then you have the bully.
That's a comic book joke for those who didn't get that. That made sense to some people, I promise.
Butch. That's pretty much all we need to know for now, and as we go back to the original silent film era, we can discuss some more characters because the crew kind of changes over the years as they got older.
Okay, now I have to explain because I feel like that was very out of nowhere. In the Marvel Comics, is the Ultimate Universe where a lot of their characters were extreme versions of their characters, and that made some of them racist or assholes, or in the case, famously, of the Maximoff twins, incest. Pterodona says therapist. Huh, I recommend seeing a psychiatrist. Now. Fenakagami says, wasn't incest the Old Man Logan? I don't know. I actually haven't read Old Man Logan comic, so I don't know if there's any incest in that. I know that the Hulk has an incest relationship with She-Hulk in one of the alternate universe post-apocalypse worlds. And there's sort of like Hills Have Eyes incest Hulk children going around. Comic books are stupid, and I love them. Fenakagami says, wasn't incest... I just read that, sorry.
Okay, so let's talk about the 1994 movie for a second. So for me, the acting isn't even close to as good as the original characters from the older show. And think about it, the whole movie is about how this gang doesn't explicitly say orphans, but I do suspect they are even orphans in this newer movie, or...
They're not. We see their parents.
The creators are aware that they are street urchins, as look at the outfits of the children in the club other than Spanky and Alfalfa. Not just that.
It's just the 90s. They're just dressing like that because they live in LA and it's the 90s, and their parents dress them like that, I guess. None of them are orphans.
Was
like literally in the movie, Darla's getting like ballet lessons at a bougie dance studio. If anything, the parents of the kids in the Little Rascals movie from the 90s are mostly rich, upper middle class white people who live in the suburbs of LA. Like, they're doing all right. They're very far from orphans.
Was in the trash can, and Waldo, the rich character, is apparently the best son money can
There you go. There's the cameo.
buy. And
How much did they pay Donald Trump to come and sit in this, set for an hour to do this shot? If I had a time machine, I'd go... Nope.
get a clip of Donald Trump, who plays his father strangely. So, Waldo's an orphan.
Donald Trump has the longest IMDb page of any president, right? Because he was in this, he was in Home Alone 2, he was in a deleted scene of Wolf of Wall Street 2. Sorry, Fenakagami. Fenakagami said, Old Man Logan, the Hulk incest thing. Hulk also a cannibal. Oh, okay, that is from the Old Man Logan thing then. Oh shit, you're right, Reagan. How could I forget Reagan? Where's my Reagan movie? One sec. This is very important to me that I show my Blu-ray of the Monkey movie. Where are you, Monkey movie? There he is. This is that time that soon-to-be President Ronald Reagan was in a movie with a chimpanzee. What am I doing with my life?
We will see that supported by older episodes later. But yeah, they don't really go into detail in the movie on these kids' living situations or their past. The plot of the movie all revolves around these kids who are in a secret society named the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
It's not a secret society, it's like a club. They're kids. They're having like a kids club. They're having like a kids club. Like, no girls allowed. Tee-hee. Cooties.
Now, I think most people will just say...
Sorry, I'm missing bits all over the place. In case you didn't hear earlier, I missed my meds today, so my ADHD meds aren't helping me out, so I apologize for missing bits. Let's see. Were little kids the first astronauts? Yes, here's proof. Funny. H. Baird with a link.
Richard, who's your favorite little rascal? Alfalfa Or is it Spanky? Sinner.
Aw, I miss Chris Farley. He was funny.
This is a cute kids club or something, but when we start to look into the older episodes on this, it's gonna get weird pretty quick.
I know, I'm being really weird today. I'm really sorry, chat. I really am. This has got to be a fucking weird stream that's not very interesting. Sorry.
So, no, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This is a secret society with secret signs, directly correlated with Masonry. That's
Is
evident
every
even in the
is every society that you think is a secret club, everything's Freemasonry?
1994 film, complete with the dog with the black circle. That's something we'll explore later.
The dog in the original had that.
But the proof of that is when the boys are walking into the club, they have to give a high sign, which is the very exact sign that is referenced in an older episode. So the creators definitely watched the old show and saw the symbolism, as multiple bits are referenced throughout the 1994 movie. Well, again, the whole
Yeah, it's an adaptation.
movie revolves around this secret society.
It's always weird to me when conspiracy theorists will look at something that is clearly an intentional choice like that and then be like, interesting. Like, what are you talking about? Of course they're doing that. Like, do they think they're seeing something secret? It's like they're so media illiterate that when they see something obvious, that they're like, ooh, interesting, because they never see anything in media. They think the very little obvious shit they do see is a secret, not understanding that that's like, yeah, that's self-evident. You're missing the entire bottom part of the meaning of everything else, but you think this part is a secret that no one gets. It's so weird.
Alfalfa breaks his oath and starts to like girls. And at first, he's actually sentenced to be executed by Spanky before Stymie gets involved. After this, Alfalfa even has a Shakespearean dream allegory where he falls off a cliff and he has to choose between the club or death. He falls into the ocean and then wakes up. Yeah, this movie's actually kind of explicit with some of the jokes, or let's just say more on the nose with it. His cowlick is referenced as something that springs when he gets excited, which is not
That's a obvious joke.
as apparent in the original series, maybe for one episode, but just some weird references throughout the movie.
Why? It was the 90s. In the 90s, like, there's always been jokes like this, but in the 90s and early 2000s, probably still now, I just don't watch newer kids media because I don't have kids. You know, there's always jokes that are like, haha, wink wink for parents that kids don't necessarily get. That's not a new thing.
But overall, yeah, the movie's not that bad when it comes to symbolism, but it does...
That's true, Raygeology. That's actually my strategic purpose. I only do tinfoil, so I look rational by contrast.
Revolve around the notion of a kid in a secret society trying to win a girl back while the club sabotages him for breaking oath. There's also some cross-dressing, which, sure, we can overlook, but it gets strange as we continue. That's the basic gist of the movie, nothing too dark about it, but it's only when you look into the past of the show that we can get the full picture. It even ends with a secret society including girls, as times are changing, which is exactly what happened in history with the Eastern Stars. Okay, so that's the
Freemasons on the bingo card, of course.
1994 movie. No mention of orphans, really, and if you search Little Rascals and Orphans or secret societies, there's really nothing on this topic. We'll start with the talkies, and before we break down the lore of the Our Gang series, let's just go ahead and start breaking down some of the episodes from the iconic period, which I would say is from 1935 to the early 1940s, before the war, or really the episodes with Alfalfa in it. That way, it will make more sense when we start breaking down some of the mind-blowing episodes. I guess I should mention that many of the older episodes from this time are considered racist, and apparently many of them have been edited, so it can be difficult to figure out what is really the original. But yeah, there are many themes and jokes that could be considered racist. There are many blackface scenes, so I do just want to give a warning just in case that offends anybody. There are some scenes where they make obvious black jokes, some worse than others. I'll bring it up when we come across those. Okay, well let's start with Alfalfa in his first episode. Well, Alfalfa was played by Carl Alfalfa Switzer, who has a very strange story. Well, he died at the age of 31 before his 32nd birthday, and a very sad story where supposedly he pulled out a pocket knife and got shot. It was considered self-defense, but he was shot by his former business partner, and this all occurred over $50. It's also on his gravestone that he was a Freemason, interestingly, because...
Yes, Freemasonry is a club that's been around. It's not a secret. It's not evil. It used to be a lot more common that people would be a part of it. Not really popular these days, and they struggle to get members because it's just not the kind of thing people are into.
There's really not that much information on that. Well, in his first episode, Beginner's Luck, we basically get this weird stage show, which this is a common theme in this series, is you have these essentially mind-controlled children performing stage shows.
Why do you think they're mind-controlled?
Sure, you could argue that's extreme, but when you see them performing these songs and dancing to these different stories, I mean, what else do you want to call it? It's not like they want to do this stuff, they've been told what to memorize.
Yeah, you can talk about the exploitation of children through performance. That's fine. It was certainly a thing back then. It's still a thing.
It's called Vaudeville theater.
Vaudeville?
But when you see children do it,
Vaudeville?
It's just strange. Especially if there's a connection with Orphans, which we'll see later. It's weird because they're like these little prodigies. And that's what I was saying with the new movie, is that the children actors don't even compare to the talent from the original actors.
Yeah, the kids were often abused into being forced to practice. Which, I don't know if you know this, abuse is bad. Bad parenting on the bingo card.
Vaudeville was a theatrical genre
Vaudeville.
of variety entertainment, which was a collection of different acts strung together. There are multiple
It's like a variety show.
Little Rascal follies of episodes.
In fact, I would say, I'm not even going to say I would say, I'd imagine it's just considered a fact, probably, that, like, variety shows of the 70s were, like, a progression of things like vaudeville into the television era.
That basically revolve around this. Children prodigies performing strange symbolic shows for the sake of entertainment. And this was...
Like, what do you think is symbolic?
It was huge back in the...
Spurious symbology is evidence on the bingo card.
...a day. They would do this at theaters as a show, or in other words, for money.
Yes, it's entertainment. People are doing songs and dance and comedy sketches. Maybe there's a little bit of stand-up. Like, yes, that's what vaudeville is. It's a variety show. There wasn't television. There wasn't, movies for people to see back in the day, or if there were, they were, in bigger cities or more expensive, so you go see a vaudeville show that maybe traveled around.
There's nothing too strange about this episode, but there was this weird thing that I noticed. The girls in one of the play's performances actually sing a very specific song. It's called Honolulu Baby. Well, this song was actually written by Marvin Hatley for the 1933 Laurel and Hardy film Sons of the Desert. Which, look, I don't want to go into a whole different tangent here, but that film is weird. It's basically a comedy movie about secret societies, kind of making a joke of the whole matter while
Well, seems like I probably need to watch that movie. That sounds funny.
revealing certain things blatantly, such as ancient rites and oaths that must be abided by no matter what. Anyways, in that movie, it's a movie about Shriners, and also, by the way, it was produced by Hal Roach, the mind behind Little Rascals. While in Sons of the Desert, they sing this Honolulu song in the exact same fashion. I only noticed this because I watched the movie randomly and that song got stuck in my head, so there's some weird connection or nod going on there.
Coincidence on the bingo card?
And that song's not a famous song. It was made just for that movie. To understand this,
the studio, I assume, owned both. Studios will go back into their own catalogs and pull things for other productions because it's cheaper than making original songs?
Hal Roach was a huge figure in early Hollywood.
Like, a lot of people don't know this, and this is so funny. You guys know Singin' in the Rain? Singin' in the Rain from the 1960s, I want to say. Really fun, great musical about the golden age of Hollywood and the introduction of talking pictures. What people don't necessarily know is it is a jukebox musical. You know, you and I think about Singin' in the Rain, and the songs from Singin' in the Rain to us are from Singin' in the Rain. No, Singin' in the Rain the songs from Singing in the Rain, at least a lot of them, are songs that were made famous in the golden age of Hollywood during the early talkie era when they were doing musicals. So, like, you know, Singing in the Rain isn't from the movie Singing in the Rain. It's from, like, the 20s or 30s. And then Singing in the Rain used a lot of those music and put them into the movie. So, like, studios would reuse things back in the 20s and 30s through their musicals and stuff. They'd have stars. And this is separate from the Singing in the Rain thing. It just reminded me of it. During this era when musicals, there's a specific word for it. Someone probably knows. Not just talkies, but the word for, like, musicals that were used in, like, the 30s. They had a different word. Whatever it was, there were a lot of movies at the time, talkies at the time, that were musicals that just involved sort of variety show acts or, you know, people doing different musical numbers, and studios would reuse numbers with different actors or actresses. It wasn't unheard of.
And is essentially the creator of the Little Rascals or Our Gang show. They are Hal Roach's Rascals. Well, he would eventually team up with Harold Lloyd, someone who used to be extremely famous, but not too many people know about him anymore. You've probably seen the scene.
You can say that about a lot of people in this video.
Of him hanging from the clock tower. Well, yeah, this guy was a master 33rd degree Freemason and was one of Hal Roach's partners. He's actually in the episode of Our Gang, in fact, so right there, there's no denying that Freemasonry was somewhat a part of this whole ordeal.
Yeah, at the time, again, if you were wealthy and were in social circles at the time and you were a man, yeah, there was a decent chance you were probably in Freemasonry because it was like a men's social club.
Lloyd.
It was a way to rub elbows with people and make connections. Think of it a little bit like LinkedIn.
It has some weird movies himself that we could break down where he tries to commit suicide and is brought to heaven to self-reflect. It's kind of like putting rituals in secret in early film. There's even blood in that scene, a cross or an X on some books in the background, and he even checks a dictionary for the word sepulcher as he's writing his death letter. So yeah, very strange, some Masonic allegory. Anyways, I digress. That's the background behind some of the creators of the show, though it's logical to conclude that references of secret societies are not just reaching or overanalyzing.
They are.
When we see this viewpoint of the children, their world, and the clubs that they were in, well, these are actually references to the clubs that the adults are in during that time, which...
You took this long to explain that, haha, did you know that the kids having secret things for their secret club is making fun of and them, you know, copying things adults do? Haha, yep, that's the joke.
If you were...
Good job, you get the joke. We're 15 minutes into the video and you got the joke. Alright, I'm done with Cabbage Guy for the day, because holy shit. That was too much cabbage. I need Chris. Chris, talk to me.
Alright. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be.
MH Darkbee says, hey Hannah, did you hear about the novel for Halloween Ends? It was written by one of the screenwriters of the movie. It is really interesting with more evil possessions by Michael, and ends on a much bigger of a downer than in the film. On your movie Discord, would you love your thoughts via tangent? I will have to look into it. Where was Chris? There he is.
The CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County. It's 11/19/23. Okay. Just looking at some of the comments. I've got a comment.
I bet. Hit that vape. Right on.
Today is a Sunday, and it's a cartoon day. Okay? Cartoon Sunday.
It's a terrible name. At minimum, shouldn't it be Saturday as to reference Saturday morning cartoons? It's a terrible show name. I'm good at naming shows.
I'm going to dedicate my first cartoon Sunday to Earth's core. So we've only dug down 8 miles, whatever, scratching the surface. Then, take a coconut. Scratching the surface of the coconut. Well, we can take a pumpkin too, but today is going to be a coconut. We don't know what's in the interior of that.
I know what's in the middle of the coconut.
So we actually break this
milk.
This coconut up. Take a look at it. Right? Well, the thing is apparently, since we can't open up the earth and find out what's exactly in it, we'll produce cartoon Sunday pictures.
Chris, yes, we don't have actual pictures of something, so people make illustrations based on our current understanding of what we think the Earth looks like in its different layers in the core, yeah. Uh-huh. Dallas Filler says he vapes, he's a conspiracy theorist, yet he vapes. Buddy, you want to talk about a freaking giant evil organization? How about Big Tobacco? Okay, so this is the thing that conspiracy theorists do often, where they will assume that you need to directly observe something with your eyeballs, and if you don't, then you shouldn't even have any assumption that it's potentially true. Of course, this doesn't apply to their own beliefs, but they often apply it to science because they don't like science. Because often science will say things about the world that they don't like. In particular, Chris, as we know, is someone who feels seemingly insignificant, insecure, and so needs to defensively buck against that by feeling bigger, smarter than everyone else. So he has to look at something like this and say, people know how to make predictions based on, I don't know, evidence and study? Bullshit! Everything that isn't directly observed with your eyeballs isn't true, because even Chris has eyeballs. So, all of a sudden, well, if you can't see it with your eyes, it isn't true. And therefore, scientists who figure things out with math and scientific instruments are just full of shit, and they all think they're better than Chris for no reason. It's pure insecurity being projected out onto the world. It's terrible.
Okay. Alright, let's take a look at this one. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that one. That's nice. What's that, the magnetic core? Is that what that is? Okay.
The core is magnetic. It's not made out of magnetism, but yes, as far as our current understanding and my layperson's understanding of the scientific consensus at the moment, yeah, the Earth's core is largely like iron, and it's like, you know, there's so much pressure and heat that it's like liquid, and it generates a magnetic field through its like motion and stuff.
Well, we've only dug down. We haven't even scratched the surface of the...
Chris, no one is saying that our understanding of the layers of the Earth is based upon directly digging into it. That's not the claim that's being made. Chromatic Cuttlefish says, this is a particularly stupid example, even for CC. We know a lot about the coconut without opening it. To begin with, we can check the mass and volume, and tell the density. We can tap it, the echoes tell us how it's hollow, we can slosh it, tell it has liquid inside, and if we had scientific instruments, we could, I don't know, X-ray the coconut. This is a random example. MRI the coconut, you know? You could have devices that you design specifically to try and scan the interior of the coconut, you know? But no, you gotta see it with your wet, slippery eyeballs, and if you don't, it doesn't count.
Earth at all, but yet we're given these ridiculous diagrams.
Wait, why is the diagram ridiculous? You didn't explain.
Cartoon Sunday, remember?
Argument from incredulity.
We're giving these ridiculous diagrams. You know what? I would love to see what the core of Mars is. I bet we have something.
Sure, fine, let's look it up. What does the core of Mars look like? This, I imagine, we have a lot less information on, just because, you know, we don't live on Mars. But I imagine we have some stuff about it. here's what comes up on Google. Again, this is Google, so you would actually have to look this up. But researchers were recently able to finally confirm the makeup of Mars's core using seismic waves that traveled through the planet. Thanks to NASA's InSight lander, we can now be certain that Mars has a completely liquid core made predominantly of iron alloy with uncommonly high amounts of sulfur and oxygen. So that's something we know about it. There you go, Chris. Can you imagine learning things about something using tools? Wow.
Let's see. Oh, let's check it out. Oh, it's just beautiful, isn't it? Mars. Core. Inner core. Let's take a look at that one. Inner core. Okay, here we go. Yeah, no, it's coming up right now. You see, these are images from Google that'll let you know that this is the interior of Mars. I love this one right here. See, that signifies a dead core on a supposed planet that does not exist. Okay.
Fake sky, moon, stars, whatever on the bingo card. Dr. Gamble says, learning is for squares, Hannah. I guess I'm square then. That's cool. I heard it was hip once.
That's what you're given. This is an
He said it was a dead core, yes.
interior shot of Mars and Earth and other things. Remember, it's Cartoon Sunday. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Chris, often illustrations are used to show things to people because a lot of people are visual learners, and it helps to show them an idea of what we're talking about rather than just using words or math. That doesn't mean the actual findings are incorrect. That doesn't necessarily make them true either. That would come down to the actual data. But the illustration is just that. It exists to illustrate.
It's nonsense. It's bullshit.
It's an in-depth takedown. It's bullshit. Heard it here first. He's like personally mad about it. That's not healthy.
So Google's giving you that.
Okay, yeah.
But yet they're suppressing us from telling you the truth.
Right, because the thing you believe isn't the... Why do I do this? I find it annoying, and I'm sure some of you do too, that instead of actually talking about the underlying thing going on, it's like I'm responding directly to the person. I shouldn't do that. I've said it a million times. You all know the Earth isn't flat. I don't need to stop every single time. That's an internal frustrating thought I should have. I should spend my time just talking about the actual underlying issue. But especially when I'm unfocused, my inside thoughts want to come out, and I just want to be mad at him.
That the Earth is flat, stationary, and covered with a dome. But yet you're given this nonsense. Does that make any sense at all to you? Think about it. Think about it.
You like hearing me yell at people? I just don't want to be Doug Walker. I don't want to be person yelling at thing and shooting fake gun for comedy purposes.
That's it, I'm done.
Wow, he's dejected. Oh, do you see the cow? I see a little cow. It's in the top right here. It's the cow. It's a hidden cow. All right, I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick, and then we'll be back for more conspiracy stuff. What was I gonna search? Sausage guy.
Will it blow?
Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
Will it blow?
Oh, that's disgusting.
That's what you get. What? I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. It blew right on the floor.
Nothing.
But will it throw? Well, not even that. Not even a little bit. It does not blow. How about a runner's up?
Every noise I've been hearing since I left has been disgusting. I regret that. Even I regret that. Evil Gina's evil, so let's see what she's been up to.
Hey, it's Michelle Ann Titler here, November 9th, 2023, and this apology from Cabamer at Cabamer_Tegeta on Twitter is due since December 19th, 2019, when I got Q plus 3730, and it was for my disclosure of the Galactics. It was for my dance video, but right below my...
Believes they speak with aliens regularly and references Q on the bingo card. Fennikagami says a lot of these flat earthers and conspiracy theorists don't understand the fact that these inaccurate models exist to dumb down the information for people like them. People too scientifically illiterate to understand the real models, they just love debunking the thing meant to help children grasp a concept before it gets elaborated on later. It's like being smug about disapproving the existence of Santa. It's more than that. I think part of the problem is it's not so much that the models are dumb, it's that regardless of what is being used to explain it, the facts or our current understanding of the facts being explained are antagonistic to their current worldview. Their current worldview being incredibly fragile, in at least the case of Chris. Chris is an insecure person. Chris wears these insecurities on his sleeve. He overcompensates by pretending the world is all fake, and that he, in fact, is a secret expert that knows everything that all these idiot sheeple don't get. So it doesn't really matter if it's, a super accurate explanation of something that only like a collegiate level, specialist would understand, or if it's a dumbed down model for children. Either way, he doesn't like it because it says something he doesn't want to be true about the world as a whole. If it's too complicated, he'll attack it for being completely ununderstandable or completely inexplicable to a layperson. If it looks simple and an illustration, he'll say it's a cartoon. Whatever form it takes, he'll argue against it because the entire thing it's trying to show is bad for his worldview, regardless of how it's actually being illustrated, literal or metaphorically. Hydrate.
My dance video was posted, the disclosure about Q being the Galactic Federation of Light. And
does that count for aliens on the bingo card? No, that's a separate space. That has to be someone who just thinks aliens exists. If it's someone who thinks they talk to aliens regularly, that only counts as that space, and it has to be a separate person that just believes in aliens. You can assume that if a space could theoretically count for two things, it should only count for the one thing that it most is applicable to. I don't want things, checking off multiple things, even if it vaguely applies to two.
And at that time I was on Cabamer's Twitter page and everything was going along fine, and Jordan Sather attacked me and actually Cabamer at the same time for our disclosure, because Jordan Sather is CIA Deep State, and I knew that Jordan
Deep State on the bingo card
was a bad guy because I have radar and I can read frequencies, and Cabamer would...
She has Deep State dar.
...not accept that Jordan Sather could possibly be Deep State because Jordan Sather is a Pleiadian soul incarnated here. And Cabamer threw me under the bus, humiliated me, degraded me, made posts about me, basically called me crazy and said I don't know her after I'd been on his page for 2 years and I got the disclosure from him in the first place. Yeah, he showed his real true colors and they were ugly. And he was wrong. Now Q Army has outed Jordan Sather as Deep State. I was right, as I knew I was all along. And Cabemer owes me a public apology the same way he betrayed me and threw me under the bus.
It seems like there's about a lot of conspiratorial infighting lately, and don't get me wrong, it's always the case. Conspiratorial groups rarely stay stable for long periods of time without sectarian conflict, because inevitably, everyone within the group is being held together by a shared disbelief in reality. That doesn't necessarily mean that their specifics of that disbelief are always going to remain in line with each other, because they all have different lives, specifics as to why they're denying reality, whatever. They have broad things they agree about, like within the Q, group of conspiracy theorists, but that doesn't mean that they all agree on the specifics. So eventually, when these people isolate themselves, which happens over time for all sorts of conspiracy groups, whether it's the Q people, flat earthers, or meme stock people, they enter echo chambers, and over time, as there are fewer and fewer outsiders coming in to antagonize them or try and, get them out of the cult or whatever, there's less outside threat within the echo chambers, so then within the echo chambers, there's more time for them to sort of foment conflict between themselves and the specifics of their beliefs. This also gets exacerbated when predictions, if it's like a millennialist or doomsday cult that has dates that get set, if we have that distillation effect that I've talked about, where there's people getting mad, people leaving, stress within the group causes conflict. And I know that's like an obvious thing to say. Obviously, stress within, like, in-groups is going to create conflict. But I think it's at least fair to say. I think you saw far less infighting, for instance, in, like, the Q conspiracy theory community back in, like, 2017. The infighting existed, but there were enough outside enemies constantly talking about them that it was kept in check, right? Because they all kind of said, like, hey, we might have interior issues, but we have other things to deal with. Now that the groups have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, and there's less attention being paid to them, kind of just gives them time to sit around and get mad at each other. It's interesting. It's interesting. And then a lot of these people will, in this sort of, sectarian conflict, split off, go into just separate forums, websites, apps, groups, and sometimes those groups will become their own different conspiratorial groups, like with sovereign citizen stuff. I talked about how the Posse Comitatus movement ended up being the progenitor of a lot of Sovcit stuff later, because when that group broke apart, a bunch of people from that moved all around the country, left and stuff when that group fell apart, and those people started different militias and groups, online spaces later once the internet became a thing, that spread those same beliefs from sort of this space of almost post-cult diaspora, where they were able to spread their, formally concentrated conspiratorial beliefs in all these new spaces that they had left after the dissolution of the original group. It's interesting.
It's your karmic soul.
Too many main characters spoil the conspiracy club. Also a good point. Conspiratorial people tend to be very... trying to put this in a kind enough way. Self-involved. Very centered on the self. Yes, main character syndrome would probably be a fair way to put it. Not all of them, but a decent number see themselves as the protagonist, and as such have a hard time negotiating social situations where compromise is involved, because main characters don't compromise. Main characters change other people's minds, or as a rugged individual, they go off and they start their own group with blackjack and hookers.
Soul lessons, Cabemer, and you have to do this. You have to take accountability. Accountability is love. I've told you and your mother that. I don't care how much information you've got. You just don't get to treat people like that and walk away. You have to make good and clear up your karma. And you have to do that for me, for you, for our connection, and for disclosure, because we do have to do a little bit of working together, and I can't let it go until you do that. You have to take accountability. I've been saying that for quite a while. So just make a post, apologize to me. Jordan Sather is deep state. You were wrong, I was right. That's all. Thanks.
To be clear, I'm showing you this because this escalates. There is a continual escalation of this conflict that happens over the course of about 3 or 4 videos.
Hello.
Thank you, Harold, although I would like to say I am not academic. I do not have a degree. I am a layperson.
Michelle.
I've just read books about conspiracies and conspiratorial psychology and stuff like that.
Land Hitler here, November 9th.
So I am very much taking the words of people who actually know what they are talking about.
2023. This short video is about to run the race, show your face. Give us your name and location. This is an account that's been in the Q Army Anon group for a number of years, and apparently it's a she, follows Jeffrey Peterson and Shannon Townsend from the MG show In the Matrix and Shady Groove. And I have radar off the charts about this person, because this person is not just a religious fanatic. This person has a vibe of the kind of fanatical religious people who lock children in closets and make them repent for their sins and for thoughts that they'd never had.
Reminder that this lady thinks that she's the reincarnation of Mary Todd Lincoln. Just pin that somewhere. Stromboli says every conspiracy theorist in fight.
Listen, you little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
I always wanted to play Miss Trunchbull. And that's not to say I like kids. But, you know, I think it'd be fun to play villains. I think villains are a fun thing to play. And, you know, who doesn't want to be the hero, too? But if I was going to do something, I'd be a villain. And I always wanted to play Miss Trunchbull. I think I'd be good at it. I only bring that up because she says the same line later in the movie.
Okay, this person is deranged.
Does this woman have a lot of followers and views? She used to have more. She has over 1,000 subscribers on BitChute, which isn't a lot in general. For the Q community, that's not nothing. She's not one of the biggest ones, but she is, she has a following, let's say that. She has people who listen to her for sure.
I've seen a lot, and I've been attacked a lot by a lot of Christians. And I know the real Christians who are just trying to be good people and
hello, Solis.
Using religion
Solas,
to actually
67.
Be better people. And I know the people that are using religion to bash and control and denounce other people. This person, to run the race, is so over the top. It's very Scientology-ish. They say things that pretty much put them in the seat of God.
Oh, Real Radham. Yeah, I love Real Radham.
Judging other people and their sins, and it's extremely fanatical. How I got onto this.
I should do something with Real Radham at some point. I still have to do something with Cassifel because I was supposed to last week, but then I got overwhelmed with stuff, and I've been all over the place.
Was just they were going on about God, about Jesus.
I gotta start doing stuff with people.
Jesus, and I said Jesus is with Q. Jesus is Pleiadian. This person...
Jesus is a Pleiadian. This lady just said Jesus is an alien. For those who aren't familiar with the lingo, she's claiming Jesus is an alien.
Person, like, denounced me, debunked me, basically put a curse on me, spoke as if she was God. It was so fanatical that even though she's pretending to be on the side of In the Matrix and MG show, and outing General Flynn as the deep state player he is, my radar is through the roof, and I think everyone needs to demand that at To Run the Race show their face and give us their name and location. This person isn't extra special and above the rest of us. We all have to dig on each other now too.
This one's the one where she gets angry. She uses the R word. Sorry. Warning for that.
Holy, November 11th, 2023, 2 days after I did the video about how I want the name, photos, and location of To Run the Race, who's following the MG show, I've been attacked so severely in the last 48 hours. This is the most, okay, I've been in Q Army for a long time. This is the biggest cyber rape I have ever experienced.
That's probably not the words you want to use to describe being, like, bullied on the internet. And I get it. I'm not trying to make light of people being shitty on the internet. That can suck. I've been there. I get it. It's part of my job. But, like, let's not use that word to describe people being mean to you on the internet, please.
Okay? There has been no group of people who have, not even the General Flynn people, they've been pretty bad, like the Punisher and all them, Jordan Sather. This is by far the biggest, most vile attack I've ever had. Like, it surpasses all of them. Like, they're telling me to drink my douche water.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
It is.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's the grossest stuff.
Welcome to the internet. Have a look around.
I've got this cripple named Lydia.
Oh, ableist. Sorry about that. Genuinely didn't know about that.
Who's literally talking about douchebags, and like all of their true colors have come out. Like, I have basically pulled out all the baby fuckers in their group. Okay, they have doxed me. They went and found a video of that I've been trying to take down. It's defamation. You can't see them in Canada, but I guess you can in the United States. Of this stalker I had named Kim Wilson, who literally physically killed her husband and killed her sister, doing the same thing to her sister that she's doing to me. So I now consider there's someone called @SpiltyT that follows the MG report, who is definitely a deep state baby fucker. No question about it. Okay, this person has literally went and stalked me. They went and used the CBC hit piece against me. None of these people are real Q Army. In fact, not only did they not
controlled opposition on the bingo card.
They were saying, that I was trying to dox to run the race when I just wanted their name. And so instead of actually giving their name, they went and literally stalked me, doxed me.
Q Army, as in the letter Q and the word army. It's a reference to QAnon. There are still people following QAnon. Not as many as there used to be, luckily. It's pretty much just people like this at this point. And I'm fairly certain this woman, like, genuinely has some sort of mental health issue going on that she needs help with. Unfortunately, she's also, like, really racist. Like, she sucks. She sucks a lot.
And found anything bad they could on me, and upon looking, they must have also found my end race-based law and all the stuff that proved that I was fighting globalism. I mean, here I am, end race-based law.
She literally has she has an organization who basically exists to try and take rights away from indigenous peoples in Canada where she lives. That's what her organization is. It's literally, she lobbies to try and get rights taken away from indigenous peoples. She sucks! Moira Soma, thanks for gifting a sub.
Okay, and so these are all, the MG show has a tremendous amount of baby fuckers who are deep state following them. I can read frequencies. These people are absolute nutcases. Ha 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 ha, losers.
She really needs help. She talked the other day about how she went to go see a play with her dad. How is her dad not getting her help? Because she clearly needs it. I think she might genuinely be a danger to herself. It's not good. This guy thinks the English language is an alien weapon or something. It's like evil alien. It starts with writing, so I'll just read it to you. Most intellectuals would say that the English language, a Germanic language, developed into a natural process over many centuries from Dutch and German. But if it was a natural process, then why is the word for present, the place where all humans are situated, an anagram for serpent? Bum bum bum. Yikes. Hardly a coincidence. It's not even a coincidence. It's just a thing that's true. I feel like conspiracy theorists don't even know what a coincidence is. things that happen that you can't pick two unrelated arbitrary things and then just say that's a coincidence. It's like you took a gun and tried to shoot something. You shot the side of a barn and then you walked up and you drew a tiny circle around it and said, I hit that target. No, you didn't. You picked the parameters of what you considered to be a coincidence. You arbitrarily decided those two things being a thing are related. It's called a Texas sharpshooter fallacy. Marcus Drake says, I think I know why her father isn't getting her help. Oh, the word for, like, the French word for a delusion shared by two people. Madness of two. Also, the subtitle of the upcoming Joker sequel, starring Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, and I think Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, if I remember correctly. Hardly a coincidence due to its deep meaning. One of countless examples that raise questions about the naturalness of the English language. Some linguists even describe it as a thoroughly occult language whose words speak curses for the sole purpose of generating negativity. Who are these some linguists? You mean you're saying that? Which suggests an artificial architecture of the language by evil forces. You can't just make a thing up and say, some linguists say, many people are saying. You're trumping, don't trump. Languages mean power. He who controls the words that people speak control the people. You literally can't control the words people speak, though, because they'll just make those words have different meanings. Like, language isn't something that you dictate top down, it's bottom up. Orwell wrote about this in detail using the example of newspeech, the artificial language of the Ministry of Truth. It's well known that in history, languages have fallen victim to violent oppression by authorities who sought to eradicate the old languages under threat of death and replace them with new languages dictated to the people by the priestly class of these very authorities. The reptilians, there we go, reptilians on the bingo card. The reptilians have dominated the power circles for thousands of years and are responsible for countless social customs and habits, fashions, and laws. They have mastered the insidious manipulation of conditions over long periods of time, step by step, day by day, step by step, usually at the speed that is not perceived by humans, the human perspective. Thus, some developments seem to be natural, although they were planned from beginning to end. The Rigelians, the Rigelian Kang and Kodos are the Simpsons version of the reptilians. I mean, they're aliens. I wouldn't say they're reptilians. They're more like whatever an octopus is or a squid. What's the word for that? Don't tell me. No, tell me. I don't remember. Orthopod? Is that a word? It is now. Why are you showing me this? Just get to the part where you talk. Cephalopod. Thank you. No Sorry. No coincidence, planning, long-term planning, due to the dark character of the English language. Citation needed. The curse it contains and references to serpents. How are we going to talk about snakes if we can't have references to snakes? We're not allowed to talk about snakes? It's possible that it was at least to a large extent, if not almost completely artificially created by negative aliens. You know, the bad aliens. Alternatively passed down by the hybridized priests of society who are connected with interdimensional reptilian entities, obviously. Thank you for 6 months. Has been a fan since before the TBR face reveal. You have helped me understand many things. Thank you so much. Well, thank you very much. Rick M. I remembered it, by the way. Rick M. I remember. Just wanted to be clear. Human language development in society has been influenced in such a way that the English language seems to have become the dominant language in a natural way. Oh boy, holy shit. The author of Guns, Germs, and Steel is crying. The English language, or a close variant of it, is the natural language of the reptilians. There is no such thing as a natural language. Like, humans create language. Don't get me wrong, it's, again, something that just kind of happens in day-to-day when people, you know, make up words or change the meanings of words slowly over time. But, like, the word natural language is, like... The only thing I can imagine it being opposed to is conlangs, but those are fictional. Like, conlangs are a thing, but they're not considered the same as, like, you know, the English language. We just call those languages. We already call conlangs conlangs. Anyway, the English language, or a close variant of it, is the natural language of the reptilians, who made it the most spoken language on the planet by means of linguistic and social engineering, terror, persecution, threats, and murder for centuries. There are many indications of manipulation to help the English language achieve its current important position. One of the most prominent is the, Muhlenberg incident of 1795. According to this story, German was defeated by English in a vote on which language should become the dominant language of America because of one vote cast by Muhlenberg. The United States does not have an official language. The United States does not have an official language, just so everyone knows. The United States does not have any official legal language. That's not a thing in the United States. Okay. Muhlenberg acted to block a congressional resolution that would have made German the national language. This is discredited by some historians as a legend. Whether or not this one case is authentic, that's so funny. They even say it's discredited, but they're like, who's to say? Probably the people who discredited it. Whether or not this one case is authentic, English is without a doubt a very negatively occult-burdened language. That requires a lot of citation. So it is in the interest of negative forces that it is widely spread and used. Whew!
English language.
Something DOO economics.
Hydrate.
Voodoo economic.
Let's fast forward to the English language. I've been telling everyone we are under British Roman rule.
Oh, okay. I need water. I'm like out of water, so I need water for this. Bittergrin with 100 bits says, if English is evil, then why do cults always chant in Latin when summoning demons? Checkmate.
This English language we speak now was remastered and flipped, and they included spells in it around the 1500s.
Around the 1500s is when they changed the English language. Around that specific date. Language isn't a thing that slowly changes over time. There's exact dates where they change it.
They call the class grammar, but grammar is derived from the word grimoire.
Let's look up the etymology of the word grammar. Nope. Comes from the Old French grammaire, via Latin from Greek, grammatique, techne, art of letters, or the art of letters. So nope! Incorrect word origin used as evidence on the bingo card. Where did that go? I'll find it one of these days. There it is.
which means book of spells. And that's why in school, you learn how to spell.
No. Nope. It's because that's the word that means putting letters in the correct order in order to make a word. Because that's what that word means.
You write in cursive to curse. So basically the witches and warlocks have placed their doctrine in the school.
You need to compare the origin of grimoire. It wouldn't surprise me if they have a common root word.
And in this language.
Because they're both about writing in letters, so they probably do have a similar root word, or the same root word, rather. H. Beard says, what if William Shakespeare is just the Elizabethan version of Alan Smithy? No. I hate the Shakespeare conspiracies, and I know you're joking, but they just annoy me. They're lazy. And also a little classist. The Shakespeare conspiracy theories are often kind of like, this guy was just, he wasn't an aristocrat, he was just some fucking guy. How'd he write some of the most prolific and famous stories of all time? Or, I guess, plays. They weren't all original stories. Just feels weird classist shit. Bittergrin says, grimoire is the same etymology. The words are technically related. They're related, but that's not the same thing. That would be like saying... I would say it works similar to evolution, right? They're a common ancestor, but they're not the same word. Just because they are related in that they have the same root word does not mean that the word grammar is a reference to the word grimoire, so that is still incorrect word etymology as evidence, because they're not understanding the relation between the two words and why they sound similar. He just assumes because they sound similar, they must mean the same thing, as opposed to understanding they have the same root word.
To be very deceptive in these days. Even the vowels they give you to say. A, E, I, O, U. Having you say I, O, U so much without you knowing it makes you subconsciously accept being in more debt.
Why sometimes why then?
This also coincides when you ask a person how they are doing and they say,
did I ever see Brows Held High Shakespeare Month? That Roland Emmerich film broke Kyle at one point. Oh yeah, I love Kyle. I've seen all the Brows Held High Shakespeare Month stuff.
I am doing fine. And we also associate a fine.
Kyle also did a pretty good cover of Land of Confusion. Sorry, forgot the name for a second.
With monies that must be paid. This is also why in most protests you hear them repeat over and over, justice, justice. They are called chants, and chants derive from witchcraft.
No, people repeat words and phrases because it's impactful and sends a message, because that's the point of language.
How we get enchantress. We are trapped in the language of double meaning. Like if someone says, which song will I listen to today? You get it? Which song?
No, so, oh god, I'm filling the role of Schoolhouse Rock here, but there are words that sound like other words but are spelled differently and have different meanings, right? There are words that have the same spelling but maybe sound different, or words that sound different but have similar spellings, right? I forget all of them, but there's like homonyms and, oh gosh. What's the Schoolhouse Rock? Something, 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 homonym, homonyms. Homonyms, is that the one that sounds like or spelled alike? Anyway, this isn't a conspiracy. This is you not understanding the English language, and I'm not either right now. So I guess we're on the same page there.
Will I listen to? Or
homophones.
Her hair is dyed. Dyed there representing coloration, but we all know that dye means death.
Right, but those aren't the same word. Words sounding the same doesn't mean they're the same word. They're not the same word.
You see the subconscious trap now? Let's keep it going.
It's not a subconscious trap.
If I ask you, where is your brother? I haven't seen him in a while, and you respond with, you know what? I'm afraid I don't know. Why are you afraid? Or you meet someone on your way to work and you say, good morning. And morning is what people do when deaths occur.
Yeah, but those are different words. Dr. Gamble says, which is which? H-Bird says, seriously though, reading is kind of weird. We have brains that can look at a series of squiggles and dots and hallucinate vividly from the experience. Not only that, we all have similar hallucinations from the same set of squiggles and dots.
So you were afraid.
Speak for yourself. I can't see things in my head. I only know words.
Now you're in mourning, subconsciously in a state of grief. To be honest, we are speaking in a language that is totally against the life of man. We also awake in the morning, but awake is a funeral party for the dead. Now the kids of the younger generation today, when you say something funny, they quick.
Does he understand this exists in like every language? Like, I know that America, or rather, I'm sorry, oh boy, that was a very American thing of me to say. In the English language, it's not the only language that has words that sound similar but have different meanings. Like, I get that there are certain things in the English language where there's weird spelling choices and the way that words go together aren't always intuitive, but other languages also have quirks. Language is imprecise. It's something that, like, humans have made in order to communicate. It's not some objective, perfect system. It's just a way we communicate with each other.
Just say, I'm dead. I'm dead. Wow. Somehow we are so unaware of the death in this language. Just like we are unaware that we call our televisions TV sets and only actors go on sets. What they've been trying to tell you the whole time is your TV is feeding you nothing but actors all day long.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of actors on TV. Altered Undying says, I love the word here, add a T, and it's there, and a W, and it's where, all locations. I love it. I like the word grotto. It's just fun to say. Grotto. Grotto.
And we
grotto.
Go through weak days. Why can't they be strong days? They are weak.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. These goddamn weekdays, they deserve self-esteem too. You aren't weekdays. You got this, Tuesday. You're a strong day. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Days. So we can go to work to earn a living. And we also know that earns
anti-disestablishmentarianism
are containers that hold the ashes of the dead. So when you earn the living, you are actually speaking of killing someone who's alive. And also jobs are called undertakings. And
what am I doing, this strong antenna?
Undertakings are so...
Oh, you know, just chillin'. Just warmin'. Just warmin'.
Associated with the dead. When our kids complete a grade in school, we say they passed. And we also know to say that some...
I think it's funny that he also assumes it only flows one direction. Like, it's always the good thing being superseded by the bad thing. It's never the other way around. It always has to be nefarious, and that the evil thing was always secretly the thing that was being referenced.
Someone who died has passed. We have to be careful of these double meanings. Words have vibrations. We are what we eat, and not only do we eat through our...
Oh boy, can I do this one? Pneumano ultra microscopic silicovolcano coniosis. Speed that up. And I pretty much got it. Bittergrin says, so is Cantonese also evil? You can't count to 5 without saying death. Yeah, it's like he thinks these things are independent to English. He's looking for white swans. Bittergrin says, so is oh, I just read that. Holy shit. Sorry.
Mouths, but also through our ears. We eat and digest words daily through our ears, and we constantly feed death via this English language. We're being fed this death. This video is to shine light on the deceptive language they have fed us all this time. Not only are they feeding us plastic with the food and having us living basically check to check, but they also have us speaking death in the language they've provided.
Doesn't understand capitalism is his problem on the bingo card. Sorry, Dillis Filler. Dillis Filler said, "Dearest creature in creation, studying English pronunciation, I will teach you in my verse. Sounds like corpse, core, horse, and war." Sounds like corpse, core, horse, and worse. It will keep you, Susie busy, make your head with heat grow dizzy, tear and eye your dress you'll tear. Wait, tear and eye your dress you'll tear, so shall I, oh hear my prayer. Fuck. Let me try that one more time. Dearest creature in creation, studying English pronunciation, I will teach you in my verse. Sounds like corpse, core, horse, and worse. It will keep you, Susie, busy, make your head with heat grow dizzy, tear and eye your dress will tear, so shall I, oh hear my prayer. Okay, got it. Oh, I don't have a lot of skills. I don't have skills, but my mouth does.
5G, the 5th generation of ultra-fast cellular communication. Massive corporations
5G on the bingo card
claim that it will revolutionize the world. But online conspiracy theorists believe it could be used for pure evil. Anti-vaxxers claim 5G will be used to track and control people through secret microchips in the COVID vaccine. Others claim 5G may be the cause of COVID itself. Now they've taken to the streets, attacking cell phone towers across New Zealand.
I sent a message out, 5G. Government, your new world order.
What did these people know that I didn't? And what was wrong with their new world order? There was only one place to start. Adrian Morrison, one of New Zealand's leading conspiracy theorists, and a flat earther who I interviewed 2 years ago.
There's no curvature, that's what we're saying.
A former musician who's now passionate about 5G.
Should I be worried about 5G?
The whole 5G thing is part of a wider plan, Guy. We get these towers put up, erected all across the world within a decade. Don't you think there's something strange about that? This is why people are getting more pissed off. It's just a crime against humanity.
What's a crime against humanity?
The COVID response that the governments have been implementing in their countries.
Because in New Zealand it's been great, and then now we're all free of COVID and we're living the dream.
No. COVID's a machine, Guy. Some new disease. It comes in from where?
From, well, they thought it was transmitted from either like...
Got to start somewhere, though.
Bats or pigs is what they said.
You haven't had the vaccine, have you, Guy?
Haven't yet, no.
No?
I'm going to get it.
I don't believe in the social distancing and masks, but if you take the vaccine and you come and visit me again, Guy, I'll have to use them because I don't know what you're spreading.
Wait, so you don't believe in masks, but if I have the vaccine, then you will wear a mask?
I might have to because you might be carrying and spreading
logic.
something, Guy.
But so here's the hard thing. You are worried about me making fun of you in this interview, but when you say stuff like that, it's naturally hilarious.
I know, but...
Like, that's gold.
I know,
That's what we call in the industry solid gold.
Your show,
I can't
though,
not use that, yeah.
Yeah, like that's the kind of thing, and I'm cool with that.
So I'm like a gold miner. I go out into the mine and I mine for gold. You're a very rich seam of gold. So you just take all those really good bits, you know, that make me look cool too, as well as you. Because you can't be the one that looks cool and I look like the dickhead. Okay, so if you're saying the
It's not his fault you look like a dickhead. Don't be a dickhead if you don't want to come off like one.
Government have got to answer, but you'd assume that they respond to like experts and they have experts.
It has been the World Health Organization.
Yeah, that's the global body to fight pandemics. That makes sense.
They say they're the World Health Organization, but they're acting like they're not. They don't seem to know anything about the Nuremberg Code.
What's the Nuremberg Code?
Well, that was a charter that was put together.
Fuck off. Comparing public health measures to a genocide on the bingo card.
Either after World War II, mainly...
This lady sucks ass.
To do with the mad doctors, you would probably call them now. I mean, they were doing things like trying to put one dog head onto another, and they were trying all sorts of crazy stuff.
That was a thing in Russia. Well, maybe Nazis did that too. I know a Russian doctor also did that.
Oh, right.
Putting one
attempted it at least.
Dog head onto another.
Yeah, you can look back on this unclassified information now. But
and their big experiment was trying to put a dog head on another dog.
So these people were actually doing...
It's weird that, like, out of all of the terrifying, awful, inhumane, monstrous, indescribable, fucked up things that Nazis did, torture that they basically, vaguely pretended was science, you went to the dog head thing? Like, I don't think it's good to try and do that either. I don't think you should take a dog head and put it anywhere. Like, I don't think you should take a dog head in the first place. Just leave it where it is. The dog's using it. But out of all the things, that's the one you went to for your example? You're not even talking about a human being there. You're talking about a couple dogs. 1.5, I don't know what you'd consider it after the experiment, air quotes. But, you know.
You're getting 2 dogs and switching their heads?
Yes.
Or are you putting one dog head on top of another head so the dog has 2 heads?
You're putting a different dog head onto another dog.
So there was a dog head, and they put another dog head on top of the dog head. So the dog has 2 heads. Like
they were next to each other.
No,
it wasn't on top. It was a side by side.
Like a giraffe.
No, they
head of
cut
another
the head
dog.
of the dog off.
I've never seen the show 2.5 Men, but I assume it's a similar situation to that.
Fuck.
And they put another dog head on the top.
Wow.
But they did succeed. In fact, these people, they made these children into what they call super soldiers.
I'm sorry, that makes me laugh.
Okay, listen, because the military people, they get married and they have children, and they put their children forward for, like, assessments and things.
Yeah,
they
and
want
then
to
the
find the psychic ones.
The psychic ones?
Yes.
No.
They want to find...
No, I'm not accepting that. Adrian, I'm sorry, I'm not accepting that. The psychic ones.
No.
You're thinking of the X-Men. Being psychic isn't real. That's not a thing.
Well, it depends on your meaning of psychic, guy.
No, it doesn't! And there is no meaning... What meaning of psychic could you possibly put... Okay, go into your brain and find a file cabinet. The file cabinet that says potential meanings of words, and find the word psychic. And I want you to open that cabinet and go through it, and you find me a goddamn definition that doesn't make me laugh. There is no possible version of the definitions of the word psychic that you can take from your brain and move it down here to make the words come out of your mouth hole. That's not gonna not be true. No one is psychic. What are you talking about?
Because not everybody researches for hours a day like I do.
Looking at Facebook while you're shitting isn't research.
And looks at everything.
Stephen the Q says, if you're ever worried about being another dog walker, remember the 2.5 Men joke. He'd never be clever enough to come up with that. My Seinfeld arc.
People in society that want me dead.
I can't argue with that.
You know, just the alternative thought is just doesn't seem to fit.
I've heard her talk. I wish I could, like, I don't think there's a conspiracy, but I can't say no one does. I've heard her personality.
With society anymore. We've got to believe what the government says.
That was funny. Being a conspiracy theorist must be exhausting.
It is exhausting, but you have to learn to live with it.
Do you not wish you'd followed your true passion, you know, of music? When I was a kid, my mum forced me against my will to play piano.
Well, you know, that was a good thing in a way, though.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Well, my theory is my mum just really liked the piano teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
The music and the passion is all still potentially there. It's still something I want to do.
But why don't you Dr. Gamble says, Hannah, this is all that's going on in their head when she tries to search for anything. Next time I'll ask for fine dining. Or breathing. Where was that? Sorry. One of these days I'll think to myself, I should put all these tabs in the order I want to watch them. Wouldn't that be smart? So I don't have to do this? I could just, like, do one, and then when I'm done with it, I could exit. Then I could always know the one I'm on is on the furthest left. It's probably what a professional would do, huh?
Just lost my confidence.
Maps and mimics with a link. This is probably going to become a short.
Being psychic isn't real. That's not a thing.
Well, it depends on your meaning of psychic, guy.
No, it doesn't! And there is no meaning. What meaning of psychic could you possibly put... Okay, go into your brain and find a file cabinet. The file cabinet that says potential meanings of words, and find the word psychic. And I want you to open that cabinet and go through it, and you find me a goddamn definition that doesn't make me laugh. There is no possible version of the definitions of the word psychic that you can take from your brain and move it down here to make the words come out of your mouth hole. That's not gonna not be true. No one is psychic. What are you talking about? Okay, that's not bad.
Guy, I lost my confidence.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it
was a very sarcastic response. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I love him. He's great.
Confidence inside. Oh, my episode killed your confidence.
Yeah. You know, people calling me a crazy nutter on YouTube and all the comments and stuff.
Yeah,
like even going so far as to say that I actually should be terminated.
Can I just say, first of all, I came to interview you as a flat earther, thinking it would be funny and interesting. While I think your flat earth ideas are ridiculous, if that caused you pain and harm, I am genuinely sorry about that, because I'm so sorry.
You're a apology guy, and I just hope you don't do the same thing again this time. Because
we're seeing
I'll come and burn your fucking studio down.
Hello, FBI. Is this a threat on the bingo card?
We're setting up for round 2.
Don't provoke a conspiracy theorist, eh?
Don't even joke about that.
Probably not a good thing to say in jest after years of actual conspiracy theorists committing terrorist acts based on those conspiracy theories. Is there a channel on Discord to specifically request clips? No, but that's a good idea. That's actually a good idea. It's weird that, like, out of all of the terrifying, awful, inhumane, monstrous indiscretions... Yeah, it's the dog thing. I'm not going to play it right now because we just saw it, but yes, it's a good idea.
How does 5G connect to all this big picture? The World Health Organization, COVID, how's it connect?
Well, I don't know all the technicalities, but I do know that there's a lot of people that do know about it. You know, even God said.
I don't know, but there are other people who do know. Yet, you don't trust scientists because you don't trust them to do work that you can then assume is right because it's tested and verified and falsified, or at least attempted to be falsified by other scientists? Is this the new word girl villain conspiracy Karen?
Is to seek the counsel of many so that you know that the true word is with you.
What is this woman's name? Does she have a channel of her own? Let's see. I gotta find out if she has a channel.
So, do you know what those towers are gonna do?
Thank you, Halloween Town.
Don't you think you should? You go and research, Guy, because that's the wisdom and the advice that I'm giving you. Coming through. Coming through.
Coming through to me.
Your mission is very important to find out the truth about these things. Down in Nelson.
Nelson's the place to go.
I had to do right by Adrian and learn the truth about 5G. I was headed to the epicenter of New Zealand's anti-5G movement, Nelson. My hometown, full of fond memories. The house where I grew up, the school where I went to school, and the church where I lost my virginity. Nelson is home to a staunch anti-5G movement led by a mystical man named Joe Raffici. Who was coincidentally my piano teacher when I was 12 years old.
How long until 6G is a thing? I honestly have no idea. I know they've already talked about working on it. There's always, people working, on, bleeding edge technology. I don't know. But I'm sure whenever it happens, we'll see the same thing, and then again with 7G, and then again with brain microchips and wireless psychic super energy, because it's going to turn out I was wrong and psychic abilities are real and everyone's going to get them via genetic manipulation or something.
There's actually a bit of a personal connection here. About 15 years ago, you actually used to teach me voice and piano lessons.
Oh my goodness.
Do you remember that?
Wait a minute, the conspiracy guy was his piano fucking teacher? That's amazing.
15 years ago, you probably looked a bit different.
6G internet is expected to launch commercially in 2030. Oh, cool. I'll be around, hopefully, 7 years from now. Who knows what'll happen in 7 years? 7 years. 7 years. 7 years. That's in case I decide to use this clip in 7 years. It's good to have that in your back pocket.
So did I.
Maybe this will refresh your memory. Amazing grace, how sweet.
7 years later.
The sound.
Just so you know, the room isn't really smoky, it's blurred. You know when someone doesn't want to be on a TV show and their face is blurred? This entire room didn't want to be on our TV show.
I once was blind, but now can see. So what?
For anyone who enjoys the show Taskmaster, Guy is a contestant in the first season of the excellent New Zealand version. Like the host of this, you mean? He's a comedian, so that would make sense.
Specifically is the problem with 5G?
This technology is a violation of human rights. All electromagnetic radiation affects biological organisms, and it's...
That's pretty weasel language. Can you define effects? What do you mean by effects?
It's just part of a toxic overload for the...
Okay, no.
Someone's
organism.
phone
Nope.
off? Seriously, in the 5G interview? Matt, was that yours? Yeah, sorry. Get out, get the fuck out. I don't even know what you do on the show anyway. What's your role?
I direct.
You're the director?
Yeah.
I'm the director now. Get the fuck out. This is an issue that affects all New Zealanders.
Was the background blurred out? Why is the background blurred out but the people aren't? I don't know the actual reason. Might just be a gag, might be the guy's house. Don't know.
Technology will enable total surveillance and total control of everything citizens do.
Fuck. That's scary.
Certainly not for the benefit of humanity.
So I need to learn more about this. How can I do more research?
Now, if
I've doomed myself. I'm gonna have to use that clip in 7 years. The Stanas won't let me forget it if I don't. I'll just be happy if I have any fans in 7 years. You think I'll be upset if people are telling me to use a clip in 7 years? If I have an audience in 7 years, I'll be happy. If I have an audience that isn't smaller than it is today, I'll be happy. Relevance on the internet is a fleeting thing, and I've never been relevant, so... Basically holding on by one single hair, and as soon as that snaps, well, you know.
If you were to go out to Golden Bay, there are people out there who are very much into this issue and be very good to speak to.
Joe sent me west over the infamous Takaka Hill to a place they call Takaka.
Yeah, sure, tracking on the bingo card.
Leading exporter of crystal.
You just look like a bit of a twat, if I'm honest. There's a load of shops down the road. Just grab something like this, you know, relax.
I must say, I'd probably kill myself before I grabbed something like that. That is horrific.
What this?
How has your hoodie got dreads?
So this.
And when I brought up 5G, only one name came to mind.
Guy called Nanga.
Go meet Nang.
Yeah, Nangas. You should go and visit him.
Nanga, a mysterious Golden Bay legend. An eccentric genius well known for his amazing portraits and paintings, and being publicly opposed to the COVID vaccine and 5G. In what was surely a sign, he was hosting a Love Vibration festival that very day.
I feel like I'm getting a sign here.
What's the sign?
I should come to the Love Vibrations Healing Festival.
Certainly, yes. I hope you'll be grooving.
I'll be grooving, man.
Yeah.
I'll be grooving.
I'll be grooving.
I'll be grooving.
Yeah, I'll be definitely grooving.
I'll be grooving more than you.
You'll have to do some serious grooving.
Man, I'm gonna be doing so much more grooving than you.
Well, let's groove together and make it more of a groove.
Let's have a groove off.
No, let's have a groove on.
Let's have a groove on.
Yeah.
Oh, Alan, I love it, mate. I love your groove, bro.
With the promise of a groove on, I had to get a move on. Something magic was happening. I didn't know what it was. All I knew is that I had to find the man they call Nanga.
I'm looking for Nanga.
Oh, yeah. He's there.
Hey, Guy. I'm over here. There you go. Good to meet you, Nanga. Yeah, good. I've been looking for you for a long time. Yeah, stop looking.
Nanga welcomed me with open arms. He explained that the Love Vibration Festival was all about spreading laughter.
We know laughter is the best medicine.
Why can't people be hippies and not be conspiracy theorists? Like, if you want to be a hippie, that's awesome. But also, like, vaccines are good. Get vaccinated. Be hippies and get vaccinated, please. Fennikagami says, how do you think these guys would feel about scientists are actually looking into using UV rays in blood as a way to treat infections, or how we use radiation lasers to treat cancer? Actually, have any of these people ever talked about laser eye treatments now that I think about it? I don't know. They just have a general sense of what they consider natural, and natural to them is good. Simple. Not true, but simple.
But, you know, our aim is every day, every person we meet is to make them smile, laugh, or giggle. Yeah.
Laughter's not necessarily the best medicine, though, eh? I recently did a gig in a children's hospital, and most of those kids died.
From laughing?
No, from late-stage cancer.
Well, that's where you needed to go, to the giggling.
And the festival had it all. Love. grooving. And a 5-dimensional spirit portal he uses to communicate with dead musicians.
There was one day when I just finished building it, John Lennon came through to me. And then this was Elvis Presley, and this here was Michael Jackson.
Isn't Michael Jackson like a sex offender?
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to meet Michael Jackson. I went Elvis, I'd also consider a creep, considering, like, he started dating Priscilla when she was 14? I don't consider that dating. I consider that the other thing, the illegal thing.
No, not at all. He loved the children.
He loved the children, all right.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if Nanga was crazy or a genius. Either way, he was one of the most interesting people I'd ever met, and my best chance at finding out the truth about 5G.
How's that?
It's bloody beautiful, mate. Thank you. How'd you get the name Nanga?
Well, it's going back in 1988. I was in an Aboriginal mission, met up with this elder, and he says, "You're Nang."
Oh, by the way, when after Halloween, there were some sweet sales at the Spirit Halloween, and I got a bunch of socks that are different, like, classic Universal monsters, and a second set that's like slasher villains or different horror ones. These are my Gilman socks I've been wearing today. Gilman.
Nanga. It's a sound. And
Nanga.
That's it.
Nanga.
Yeah, that's it.
Nanga. Nanga.
I'm in the process right now of fine-tuning my whole body to be a didgeridoo.
Oh. Like a fake didgeridoo. How about we didgeridoo-don't?
That's fucking good. That's really good stuff. So 5G, it's a big problem.
Yes, on what it's setting up. You get in plugged in, really. 5G puts you into the network.
Vibes-based conspiracy on the bingo card.
And 6G, zoop.
So what does zoop mean?
You zap you out, yeah.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
What do you...
Oh, this guy's done too many drugs. I don't know what the amount of too many drugs is, but he's done it. He's done too many. His brain is absolutely cooked. Marcus Drake says, "I'm a didgeridoo, Greg. Could you blow me?"
Most afraid of...
Is anyone close to bingo? I feel like we've had like a really full bingo card.
About 5G.
I'm not.
If not, we'll just do random gift subs. It's fine at the end of this. Just
personally afraid of anything, and not even that 5G. I have a kind of built-in filter.
Fun fact, the same conspiracy theories happened at the advent of the radio, at the advent of power, like electricity being available in towns and having like a power station, and then, you know, wires that carried power to people's homes, television, cell phones, satellites. Every single time anything like this has been introduced, there's been the same conspiracy theories, and they've always turned out to be untrue. Fun fact.
I never get colds and flus.
So you never get sick?
I had a flu once just to experience it.
He just to see what all the rage is. You know, everyone's talking about this flu thing. I should check it out. I wouldn't recommend it. I got a flu shot like 2 days ago. Get a flu shot. Don't get the flu, or any flu. There's more than one flu, but you know what I mean.
The fuss was about. See what everyone was raging about.
Pretty well, yeah. When I died, I went through 24 dimensions.
You died?
Well, clinically for...
Dimensions other than our own on the bingo card.
3 hours. I took an overdose of all these antipsychotic type drugs. I'm out.
Oh, so that's a horseshoe. Apparently that loops back around. I'm sorry. Hannah dies of laughter on the bingo card. You take enough, it loops back around. Nope. I am very unstable now. Oops. Whew. Okay, Dillis Filler says, "The Grid, a digital frontier. Nganga tried to picture clusters of information as they moved through the computer. What did they look like? Ships? Motorcycles? Were the circuits like freeways? He kept dreaming of a world he thought he'd never see, and then one day, he got in.
Probably a second away from my whole heart was going to burn out. So what I do, I've done it on nearly everything. No. In my mind, I declare no.
No.
No. So I go straight upstairs and I left the body hovering up down there, hovered up through the ceiling. When I went up to what they call a light, it's a bit more than a light. A lot of people get to that stage, they say they met Christ.
Did you meet Christ?
Yeah.
How was he?
Happy and smiling and laughing and giggling. He is great.
That's good. I'm glad he's having a good time. He deserves it. After everyone, honestly, anyone who's crucified, holy shit. Benny especially, holy shit.
People have near-death experience. I've had much more than 20 of those. But I've never caused an accident in my life. I've done a few flips.
In a car?
In a car.
How'd you end up doing that?
On top of Tiger Hill. Instead of stopping and having a power nap, I had a power nap and stopped.
Okay, so you're driving along the Tiger Hill and you fell asleep.
I could feel myself being projected out and then, yeah, it would have been pretty messy.
So you said no?
Yeah, firm no. No!
Did you go out there and high-five Jesus?
I didn't need to then.
Why don't you see 5G and say...
I think a high five is like, I don't know how you approach if Jesus was real. I don't think so, you know, at least in the divine sense. I think there was probably someone who was the historical Jesus, Yeshua, whatever. But, like, if Jesus is real, I think a high five's the appropriate greeting. Because you don't want a handshake. I think that's too formal. But a hug, I think, is too much for a first meeting. So I think you gotta just be like, fuck yeah!
No!
I did. I said, bugger that. I've had enough of this. So...
Stromboli says, how does Jesus whistle same way he waves?
Well, I just said, no! Immediately.
This is far out, bro.
I can go a lot further than just far out. We go right to the other side.
I don't even know why I'm doing this fucking story or being a fucking journalist. You know, like 5G's happening and a lot of people are very concerned about it.
I wouldn't worry about your 5G. Forget about it. It's got no future. Just more focus on your inner divinity, your divine
It's
self.
got no future.
And you...
Once 6G comes around, sure.
Then you're into the 5D plus, not 5G. Fifth dimensional being is love.
So a key turning point for you was when you tried to Komsui.
I had a pure Kundalini experience, awakening. Way back in '76, waking up the rainbow serpent.
Is the rainbow serpent a euphemism for your penis?
Yeah.
Is it actually?
Yeah, I was.
That's the best name for a penis I've ever heard. Can you name my penis?
The woggle.
Wait.
The woggle, the rainbow serpent.
So
woggle.
you're the rainbow serpent and I have to be the woggle.
Yeah,
I feel like woggle isn't as cool a name as rainbow serpent.
No.
Nanga was one of the weirdest people I'd ever met, and I loved every minute of it. He'd seemingly managed to have escaped the troubles of everyday mortals by devoting his life to the power of love and the beauty of art.
So that painting has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men in it.
We start off with Zeus.
Zeus has got a stiffy.
Yeah, because he's been dominant.
And who's the final character?
That's the modern man, represented by myself.
That's literally you.
Yeah, I didn't have any models at the time, so I used myself.
You've got a lovely big penis. Is that accurate, or do you add a little bit?
Yeah, I'm uncircumcised. Thanks, Mum, for that.
What I love out here is it's just fucking loose as a goose, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I used to say, let loose like a wild goose.
Somehow 5G just wasn't important anymore. All that mattered was becoming my true divine self and reaching the 24th.
I hope we don't see any more penis. Nah, it's blurred at the end. We're good.
Dimension. To do that, I had to walk the rainbow serpent to the garage that housed...
You know, we all just shared something very special together, chat. I'll remember it always.
The Egyptian chamber, where I was introduced to a man known only as Glenn. A successful businessman turned spiritual guide.
Nice to meet you, friend. What would you like to know about it?
Well, mainly my first question is, what the fuck is it?
It's still experimental. We do not know its full secrets. Humanity cannot build a great pyramid. It is too far beyond us, even with all their
racist disbelief of historical achievements on the bingo card.
Lasers and our technology, we can't do it. We can't be done.
We can't even build a pyramid with our lasers?
No.
So this is going to change me?
Could do. So we start with closing your eyes, and in a sense, you are an instrument. You're not different to a flute. And as you set up your vibration in that way...
I'm a bit different to a flute.
I don't want to be a flute.
Maybe...
I don't know if I want to be in the brass section. Could I be a woodwind?
Didge is more your vibration.
Or strings? Percussion?
Didge short for didgeridoo?
Yes.
Baton.
Are you saying didgeridoo so much in your life that you need to abbreviate it?
Yeah.
Do you have a job?
Yes.
What do you do?
This.
This is a full-time job?
It's part-time.
What do you spend the other part doing?
I am working in the crypto world at the moment.
Yeah. Of course he is. That tracks.
All right.
Because I
a bit of part-time didge?
Yes.
With Glenn, there was no doubt that I was getting an authentic experience. But by stepping into this ancient Egyptian ritual, I was stepping into a world of mysterious forces and powerful magic.
It's just on YouTube.
Transform.
With the transformation into my divine self complete, I was ready to begin my journey to the 24th.
I'll have you all know that I was the second chair trumpet, so...
Dimension.
Cheers, Glenn.
I did play percussion. Both did trumpet, tuba, and percussion for a little bit.
With Nanga by my side, we transcended from the physical.
The leaf wouldn't grow. The sand wouldn't roll over.
To the metaphysical. Traveling faster than the speed of...
Could I play any of them now? Sure, probably not very well, but a little, yeah.
Love.
Glenn. The crypto world.
Amazing.
I hope you'll be grooving.
I had a pure Kundalini experience to awaken the rainbow serpents and ride to the 24th dimension. Heaven on earth. Finally, the rainbow serpent and the woggle were truly free. I returned from Takaka a different person. Nanga forced me to look deep into my own soul, and it was dark. I wasn't trying to find the truth. I just wanted to find some weirdos to exploit on television for money. That's fucked up. But what Nanga taught me was love. I'd hurt Adrian, and it was time to make things right.
I want you to be a singer. I reckon you should just get rid of this conspiracy stuff and just focus on music.
What about if I became a conspiracy singer?
That's a terrible idea.
There's a market for a new breed of singers. There's the conspiracy music guru on YouTube. You should see him.
Okay, I'll get him another time.
Don't believe in gravity.
It wasn't quite what I had in mind, but I'd rekindled Adrian's passion for music. Now it was time to rekindle mine.
Oh, it all comes back together with the piano. Nice.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound
that saved a wretch like me.
I once was lost, but now am found.
Was blind, but now 5G.
I never did learn much about 5G, but I do support Joe Rafichi's concerns about increased spying by corporations and governments. And Adrian was right. In 1959, a Russian scientist did attach a dog's head onto another dog's head. It didn't look as funny as I thought. Luckily, no animals were harmed in the procedure.
I told you!
Except for both the dogs. They died after 23 days.
Yeah.
Most importantly, I learned about the power of love.
Don't do that shit. Duh, people are fucked. We're a fucked up species. What are we doing?
Because with that inside of me, I'll be grooving from now until forever.
I should have been born a cat or something.
Guy Williams.
Cats have never done crimes against the entire earth. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think a cat has ever committed a grievous sin. Humans have, many times. And that's not fun to be a participant of. You know, the whole human thing. Alright, so thanks everyone for hanging out. I had fun. Sorry I was a little loopy today with my lack of ADHD meds and stuff. I'll make sure tomorrow I take all the proper meds, so I'll be more on track and less, you know. So anyway, let's see who we're gonna raid.
Which is that? That language.
How about some cyberpunk? Looks like raising money for something. Trevor Project, I think? Cool beans. Alrighty. Cats cause mass bird extinction and torture their food, but they don't have a moral conscience, so that's the difference. Alright, have a good night, everyone. Love you, Mr. Blast, and I'll see the rest of you soon. Tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do probably Chud Watch. It's been forever since Chud Watch, and I kept being like, soon we'll do Chud Watch, and then I didn't. But we really will. We also got to talk about the PP stuff soon. PP people are mad because another big date came and went. There's all sorts of stuff. We got a lot to talk about. So come back soon, or else. Alright, bye.